Hey everybody, this week it's Jesty again with MRC round 3 of March Mechness. Today we've got, who is it again with us, or with me today?
It's the infamous pirate.
That's right, Pirate. So far, March Mechness, if you're watching this, is already wrapped up, so the standings are out there. But we'll be going over a round 3 match. We've got a little bit of a surprise this time. It's going to be a double blind city fight, cut off the head, which is definitely spicy if you ask me. So, Pirate, do you have any thoughts on this particular mission? I know since we both played it recently, we've got some experience going on here. What are some things to look out for in this particular match?
So some of the craziness with double blind in the city is line of sight. There's going to be a lot of long alleyways, I assume, but then there's also going to be a lot of, maneuvering up to level 2 buildings to try to hide or to really ambush somebody by jumping out in front of them. But at the end of the day, you've got beagle active probes, you've got sensors, there's all sorts of ways to tell where people are. Unless you're desert, because I think that's a intro tech list. So this will be extra spicy, seeing a bunch of armor try to plow through buildings while a bunch of speedy boys try to find them.
That is correct. Desert is running a full intro tech list, which means he does get the plus 23 cheese bonus. So he is going into this match with 23 points already because he's playing with really old, ancient, terrible mechs. But you can make them work, as we've seen in this tournament already. The intro tech lists are performing fairly well.
Heavy armor, it'll do it.
Yeah, so let's get into some of their lists. Right now, because this was pre-recorded, we can't scroll up and look at the other two units. But we'll start with DesertDream's team, also known as Sam, part of the MRC crew there, representing the High Command for MRC. He's got two units that aren't listed. One is a Fire Javelin, which is a Javelin special variant, I'm assuming. And the other unit that's not currently listed is a Wolverine 6M, I do believe.
So then rounding that off, you've got your Battlemaster 1G, your classic, the awesome 8Q, then a nice little Thug 10E. I've been running those two mechs, the awesome and the Thug. I'm really liking them for this tournament. And then a personal favorite of mine and Deviant Brad's is that Jaegermech 6S.
Yeah, you've got some hands-on experience with that awesome and that Thug, putting him to good work or to good use from what I've seen so far.
I like running mechs between the 75 and 80 ton range in this tournament, apparently.
Hey, it's been working out for you, so can't complain with results, right?
Exactly.
All right, one thing to note, the Battlemaster, Awesome, Thug are all at 3-4, and I do believe his Wolverine is a 3-3, and I can't remember what his other one is. Let me take a look. Oh, there we go. His other mech is the Fire Javelin at a 3-4. And
That Wolverine at 3-3 is a little spicy because the 3 means it can kick a lot easier. So I'm going to be interested to see if he goes full frontal combat with that.
yeah, he's definitely going to aim to get into melee. We'll get into some details, but how do you like the list so far, just off the top?
There's not a mech in there that I wouldn't run. I'm a little biased against the Wolverine just because everybody likes to run Wolverines. So
They're a
that
good
in the
mech.
battle. No, they're a good mech, but there's so many other mechs. It's like picking Pikachu all the time. Like there's other Pokemon out there.
Yeah, you're right. I can't argue with that. It's nice to change it up once in a while.
But
But
it is solid. So you've got the Wolverine's just a solid trooper. You've got the Awesome, which is just a solid slab of meat. Battlemaster, I surprisingly don't have much experience with. And then you got the Thug and the Jaegermech, which as long as you don't hit those ammo bins, they're nice little mechs too. Especially the Jaegermech with precision ammo. That's just deadly.
yeah, I like his little balance here. He's got a sniper, he's got 3 assaults that he can just march in and also serve as backup snipers, and then the Wolverine and Javelin to run objectives and get in there and mix it up. I like the balance we have here.
So I forgot to ask, but based on it being a Thug 10E and me spending about 3 hours trying to find a way to work a Thug and an Awesome into a list, I'm pretty sure this is either mercenaries or pirates for the early Republic. And given the two, I'd be honored if it was pirates, but I think this is mercenaries.
Yeah, we'll have to double check with Desert. Maybe you can tell us in the comments which faction he's backing, but our guess is currently mercenaries. Tell us in the comments if we're right, Desert. And now let's get into Klint's list. What do we have here up at the top?
Looks like a was that a LBX2 carrier?
That is correct. That is a 60-ton vehicle that is slow as molasses, but is bringing what I don't even know how many LB2X autocannons. So he's going to be crit fishing for days.
We'll have to check the record sheet in a minute. But then you have one of my favorite mechs when I started playing tabletop last summer, the awesome 9Q. That's just a fun little toy.
It's almost like the awesome 8Q, but, you know, modernized and better. Imagine that. Next up, he's got the two Men Shens, Men Shen MS1OF, and then the Men Shen MS1OC. So changing up the variants on us there. Not insignificant difference in points. All of his mechs, except for the last two, which we'll get into in a minute here, are 3-4. So as is the AC carrier. So the AC carrier, the awesome 9Q, and these two Men Shen at 55 tons are all 3-4.
Yeah, I'm liking this so far because you've got some things I haven't really seen played, or those Men Shens, I haven't played those since Mech Commander 2 came out in like 2002 or something crazy. So those and the next one here, the Ghost 10, it's just fun seeing new stuff.
Yeah, I like that we're seeing new stuff here. Sometimes new is good, sometimes new is not so good. I'm actually completely unfamiliar with the Men Shen. I don't think any of the lists I'm used to perusing have them on them. But that's because I'm a filthy clanner, so.
Think Raven on steroids, but we'll check the record sheet and see if we're right.
Gotcha, 55-ton Raven. Yeah, the Ghost comes in at 50 tons. He is at 4-4. So we'll see what we'll get into the record sheet since I'm not familiar with any of these and take a look at them. And last and definitely not least, although it is the smallest mech on his list, which is also his commander, is this Tarantula ZPH-2A. And he's got it at a 2-3 skill level, which is probably the best skilled pilot we've seen almost all game.
Well, if I was going to be in a middle of a battlefield, I would also want something that can run away really fast. So I don't blame him for putting his commander in a very highly skilled, very mobile escape, vehicle.
Actually, yeah, that's the same thing I did. I picked one of my Koshi standard 3s as my commander and just kind of jumped him around for the first 10 turns. One thing to note, though, we didn't mention is that DesertDream's commander is his awesome 8Q. So he's got a big old slab of meat versus a fast little tarantula for commanders here. And it is cut off the head, so killing the commander is the name of the game here.
This will be a good match because you have big chunky boys who are kind of slow and fully slabbed with armor versus a pretty well-balanced list. The only thing I'd say is it is curious that he picked the tarantula instead of the awesome. I'm sure that's because of the speed benefits, but the awesome just won't friggin' die. So let's see how that works out for him.
Yeah. Let's get into these record sheets here. Nope. Let's go ahead and start with Desert's list. He's got an awesome 8Q. It's the same old-fashioned Intersphere intro tech awesome that we all know and love with 3 PPCs and a small laser. 1605 battle value out the gate at a 4-5, but he's running them out of 3-4, so he's a little more expensive.
Yeah, I'm not even counting those armor pips. It has a lot of armor, and it doesn't have an Excel engine, so you could lose a torso, and it'll just be like, I'm still at 50% firepower, essentially. So that on top of it being an 80-tonner that could kick, that's just one honking piece of metal.
Yeah, definitely. And he can punch, too, if he really wants to, if he gets the opportunity. We'll see.
He does have a hand actuator on that left arm.
That is correct. So this is also his commander. Big old slab of meat. One of the best things you could use for a commander. Let's get into this next one. It's going to be the Battlemaster BLR-1G.
So I'm not familiar with this one, but let's take a look. 2 machine guns. Those are just ammo explosions waiting to happen. PPC, nice. SRM6, Crit Seeker. 4 medium lasers, front facing, and then 2 in the rear. So I guess if you want to try to run behind them, you're going to get a surprise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some backstabbing deterrent there. Intersphere medium lasers are one of the most efficient weapons in the game, and he's got a lot of them. So And he's got 18 heat sinks, so we can fire that PPC, the SRM6, and a medium laser and walk and be neutral. So he's definitely got some options with this Battlemaster.
Absolutely. I was going to try to think of a joke about this being a heavy panther, but this one can't even jump, so I'll think of something later to criticize about a PPC and an SRM6. That's one of those. Tell me in the comments what you, another, lighter mech that this is just the big boy of.
Yeah, we'll take a look. There's definitely going to be something similar to this. But another well armored assault mech coming in at 85 tons. And I think it's got no hand actuators. Yeah, it's got hand actuators in both hands. So as long as he doesn't fire those machine guns, he can definitely throw a punch that'll do more damage than those machine guns do. Let's get into the next mech here. Jaeger Mech JM6S. 4.6, 2 AC5s, 2 AC2s, 2 medium lasers, and only 10 heat sinks. So not bad, actually. Perfectly heat efficient if he gets to a sniper nest and doesn't move.
Right, but one lucky Gauss rifle to a side torso when you're hitting ammo. There's not much there besides a medium laser and an ammo. So it even has ammo in its center torso.
Ooh, yeah, you don't want to see that. That's not where you want to keep your ammo. Yeah, this is a very lightly armored sniper mech. 13 in each torso, 6 in each arm for armor before you go internal. You definitely want to hide him in the back and keep him safe. For sure. We'll see if Desert can accomplish that and get as much as he can out of it.
I think this is one of those that it's, misleading how effective it is, but it's definitely a technical one to play because of that. So as long as you can stand in the trees and not move, this with precision ammo, this is an excellent mech. You just have to make sure your enemy knows to stay away.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can catch some speedy boys unaware with the precision ammo. -2 is no joke. Basically turns your auto cannons into... It cuts the ammo in half, to be fair, but it turns them into pulse, basically.
With 15 rounds to play, you don't really need 10 rounds of double AC5 and what's that, 22 rounds of AC2. Yeah, you got plenty for MRC style.
Oh yeah, the match will probably be done before we go to time. Although you never know, it could get interesting. Up next, we have the venerable Thug THG-10E, dual PPCs, dual SRM4s, 4.6 movement, coming in at 80 tons.
This has been a favorite of mine since MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, but then I kind of fell off the radar with it because I wasn't really in a lot of the other video games. And then when I started playing tabletop, I looked at it like, 2 PPCs on an assault mech? But no, this has been a lot of fun to play as long as your ammo doesn't explode. Nothing else to say. It's heavy. It's got crit seeking for the close range and hole punching. So it's the whole package. You can run this solo and be fine as a heavy trooper mech. And, shameless plug, but if you go watch on the origins of battle mechs, they recently did one on the Thug. It was quite inspiring because it reminded me that it has 2 hand actuators, so it can pick up limbs and be a clubber if it wants.
Most definitely. If they get in minimum range, or if you're in, melee range, you are in minimum range for those PPCs. So you're probably not going to want to fire them, especially because you've only got 19 heat sinks and you fired them the turn before. You can throw hands and do almost as much damage as you will with those PPCs.
Yeah, the trick to this one is to walk or run, fire both PPCs, cycle it, fire both, cycle it, or worst case scenario, 1 PPC and dual SRMs will keep you heat efficient, but don't really want to be using your SRMs because it does have armor, but it's also slowish. 4.6 is not bad for an assault at 80 tons, but it's not going to generate a high TMM.
No, not at all. And you've only got 25 rounds to split between those 2 SRM4s, which means you'll get to about round 12, 13 maybe before you run out of ammo. So there's really no reason not to fire them every chance you get.
Correct.
All right, let's get into the Wolverine. WVR-6M, classic large laser, medium laser, SRM6, and another medium laser. So he's got a lot of energy weapons and 1 crit seeking weapon. Pretty good at a 5.85 movement profile.
Yeah, some people like vanilla ice cream too. I mean, it's a good all-rounder. Nobody's going to be offended playing this, but yeah, next.
That's a classic. And he does have enough ammo to cover himself for the whole match with that SRM6.
If I was a, new player, this is why they include it in the box. That really is a decent beginner mech to run with because it's heat neutral, isn't it?
Almost. This one I don't think is quite heat neutral, especially if you jump. The large laser is 8 heat, and you have 2 mediums and the SRM6, and you've only got 14 heat sinks. So you can jump and fire that large, or jump and fire both mediums and maybe the SRM, but and generate a little bit of heat. But you can't just jump and alpha strike every turn. You gotta watch your heat curve at least a little with this mech.
Absolutely.
All right, and last and not least, although it is the least tonnage, is the Javelin JVN-10F, quote, Fire Javelin. I haven't seen this version because I didn't think it was legal, but it's got 4 medium lasers on a 696 movement profile. Not bad.
So this is when you realize that not every mech that has quotation marks is necessarily a unique mech. So it's legal, and if you play the Mech Warrior 5 video game, I think this is your first mech you can pilot.
Not a bad first mech, if you ask me.
No, it's definitely good, and secret to this one as well is besides jumping 6, it has dual hands. So if you get near the edge of the map and this thing is anywhere near you, you're getting pushed.
Oh yeah, pushing is not fun, especially if you have your back to the map edge or a level 3 drop. You can jump for 6 and fire 2 medium lasers every turn and stay neutral, or run and then fire all 4,
Another
and then
one
generate 1.
Yeah, this is another one of those that's popular with MRC mech commanders. I've seen it a lot, almost as much as the Dasher H.
Ooh, ugh, that's a bad word around here. All right, well that sums it up for Desert's list. Any closing thoughts on the list as a whole?
In general, I like that it's intro tech. These are all familiar. This is a list that I would run with no issue. It's nice and diverse with its speedy boy, its midfielder, and its heavy mechs. So I do like this list.
I'm a little worried. He's got ammo on the Wolverine, ammo on the Jaeger mech, ammo on the Thug, and ammo on the Battlemaster. And we're in intro tech, which means no case. So any tax that hit any of the ammo and that mech is as good as dead.
No, absolutely. So, yeah, you're correct. So the Awesome's going to be soaking fire. Battlemaster hopefully has the ammo, but you're not wrong. You know, he's got those other mechs that can move at least 5 on a run, so he's going to have to find cover to prevent that. But the trade-off is it's a lot of tonnage. I mean, he outweighs Klint here by 70 tons, it looks like. That's a whole nother, heavy mech.
Yeah, no kidding. So he does have a trade-off. He's got a lot of metal and he's got some good pilot skills pretty much across the board, but he is vulnerable to those random attacks that might come through. Let's get into Klint's list here. First up, we've got the AC2 carrier. It's a 3.5 movement profile with 5 LB2Xs and an unused C3 slave computer.
This is called Somebody Read the Tournament Packet.
Oh, yeah. Not too much to say about it. It's not terribly lightly armored. It's 22 on every location, so even in the rear, it's pretty much fine. There is no turret, so all the weapons are locked to the front facing. So he is going to have to wiggle around to aim these things and get into a sniper nest. But at a 3.5, he's maneuverable enough to get to where he needs to be. We'll see if he can make it happen with the limited lanes of fire with these extremely long-range scatter weapons.
I didn't even notice that the armor was the same on all sides. That may be the first vehicle I've seen that does that.
Yeah, not a bad call, actually, especially with how slow it is. Yeah, by all means, jump behind me. Start on my armor all over again. Although it's a vehicle, one thing to note with vehicles, they are extremely vulnerable to motive crits. It's something mechs don't have to worry about, but all vehicles do.
Well, hopefully, he can stay far enough back that he just won't get shot.
Yeah, we'll see if he can make it happen. First up for the mechs, we've got the Ghost GST-10, 6.9 movement profile, active probe, ER medium laser, Guardian ECM suite, light PPC, and 2 MML3s, and oh, another light PPC. So not bad.
Some other things to note is, besides the active probe and the ECM, once you start getting ECM in these early Republic eras onwards, make sure you look at that armor. This has stealth armor, so if he really wanted, he could be extremely difficult to hit. I'm not sure how beneficial that would be, given that he's not a C3, but as a spotter in a city map like this, that'd be a good one.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice the stealth armor. That's a good catch. Uh, he's got the probe, which means he's gonna probably have eyes on a good portion of Desert's force. Desert has 0 probes on any of his mechs, so he's probably going to be playing blind for the most of this match, unless, of course, they show themselves and are within line of fire.
And he doesn't necessarily have a ton of punching power, outside of the PPCs and SRMs there, but he's also got hands, and at 50 tons, he can kick for 10. So be interesting to see if he can, just be annoying and start causing some PSRs.
Yeah, it's not a bad setup on this mech. I'm a little leery at 50 tons with 6'9 with no jump to cover it. He might not have the maneuverability you would like to see in a city fight. He's going to have to walk through these lanes of fire and probably expose himself to return fire. And he does not have the armor to take it like Desert's list does.
And he's got ammo in both torsos, so, maybe wise for him to consider dumping ammo if he got down to it. That way, one torso hit on the ammo with no case doesn't just totally kill him with that triple fusion engine.
Yeah, even if he had case, the mech would be done because it's an inner sphere fusion engine. So any torso that goes away is 3 engine hits.
Yeah, this is another one of those mechs that I've gone, you know what? I want to get the Iron Wind model of that just because it sounds cool. It looks cool. Nobody's seen it, but it's fun to play too. So I'm excited to see what Klint does here.
Yeah, I want to see if he can use it in its sniper role effectively. Next up, we have the first mentioned MS1-OC 6'9", and is that mask or a supercharger IC 12 movement? No jump.
That looks, I'm real bad about reading these. It is mask, you're right.
There it is. Okay. He's got dual large pulse lasers, a Guardian ECM, a Beagle active probe, and an ER small laser. So another non-jumping medium mech with decent ranged weapons, I guess, if you can call 3, 7, 10 long range decent.
Well, you can run and use those pulse lasers to kind of make up for the fact that you're running. So you basically have, very easy hitting PPCs almost.
True. Short range PPCs.
Correct. But this one it does have ECM, but it doesn't have stealth armor on here. But I do like this, especially the OC in the name tells me that's a Omni mech, isn't it?
That is correct. I do believe that Menshen is an Omni-Mech, Inner Sphere type, because it's got the Inner Sphere XL, which means, one torso and you're done. But, yeah, I'm not sure which faction has this. I'm assuming, we didn't go into his faction, but I thought he was Jade Falcon from the color scheme, but green and yellow, he might be Capellan. This may be a Capellan mech, and I have never looked at the Capellan MUL, so that's on you, Pirate. Maybe you recognize this one.
It's going to be one of those Trinity Alliance, the Capellans or the Magistracy, or the Clan Diamond Shark for early Republic, but I'm going to go with it's probably Capellan just because they tend to run a lot more Menshens.
That's fair. All right, well, I don't know if I like this one. It's pretty short range, but he's got the probe. It can only run, but it can run pretty fast. It's as fast as a locust if he uses his mask. I'm a little iffy on this one.
For its price, it's a little pricey, but if you were looking for a heavy scout, this would probably be a decent one. It's just kind of expensive for a dedicated scout or a dedicated fire platform, so you're getting the best of both worlds at the price of an Atlas almost.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the next mention. Maybe this one's a little more cost. Oh, there we go. It's got the 6, 9, and 12 movement profile for the mask again. No jumping. 2 snub nose PPCs. Okay, I like that a lot better than the 2 large pulse lasers for some reason. Maybe it's because the range is like an extra 50%. A targeting computer. Ooh, okay, now we're talking tag and an active probe. It's also about 200 base battle value, more expensive than the OC variant of this Menchen.
So pretend I'm from the periphery, and I'm not sure what a snub nose PPC actually is because honestly, I don't. What's that all about?
So the snub nose PPC has no minimum range. Its long range is shorter than a normal PPC's, but its short range goes out to 9 hexes, which is disproportionate for most weapon range brackets. It also does less damage the further away a target is. So you're going to want to be in short range with this snub nose PPC variant at all times. At 9 hexes with a targeting computer, you'll be shooting better than you will at 9 hexes with the 2 large pulse lasers on a run with the other mention that we just looked at. I like this one much better.
Yeah, you sold me on it.
10 damage short range, 8 damage medium range out to 13 hexes, and 5 damage out to long range at 15 hexes, which means his long range bracket is only, 2 hexes long, and his medium range bracket is only 4 hexes long, but he's got a 9 hex short range, which is not bad, especially for something that's pretty fast with a targeting computer. Oh.
Now that targeting computer is why it has tag, I think. So if that is, you can use the targeting computer or tag, or can you do both?
No,
I
tag
might have to
is
research that.
Yeah, no, tag is separate. That's for spotting or calling in, artillery rounds and stuff. But you can fire your tag off, and that'll count as a spot if you hit with something. So I haven't seen any LRMs in this list as of yet. I'll take that back. The Ghost does have the MML, so it can switch between LRM 3s, which are not great, but it is something, I guess.
You can crit seek, and now I see it on the record sheet. There is a tag in its right torso. You know what I'm thinking of as a C3 Master, because I think the C3 Master can be used as a tag.
Yes, that is correct. The C3 Master functions as a tag in addition to its master functionality.
Y'all and y'all's fancy computers and electronics just give me a bunch of PPCs.
Yeah, that's all you need. But yeah, the targeting computer is nice. It'll give him a -1 at all range brackets. So I expect to see good things out of this variant of the Menchen, hopefully. Second to last, we have the Awesome 9Q. It's like the Awesome 8Q had a makeover and also like 500 extra battle value tacked onto it.
For 500 battle value to get another PPC and enough heat sinks to almost be heat neutral while walking, you are when you stand, I'll take it. And the best part, it has incidental ECM. Thank you, Vapor, for that phrase. So basically, you take it, you don't even realize you have ECM, and oh, Artemis doesn't work. C3 doesn't work. It's lots of fun.
Yeah, this is a great mech. 38 heat sinks, generates 40 heat with the PPCs. If you fire all 4 of them, 41 if you fire the small laser too. But yeah, this is a straight up upgrade off the 8Q. And look at the crit slots on this thing. Good lord, every single slot is filled up with either double heat sinks or PPCs or actuators or something. And there's 0 ammo to blow up. This mech is a zombie in the truest sense of the word.
There's some pilot out there going, oops, you hit my crit, heat sink again, because that's all you're going to be doing.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a monster in this battle. I'm certain of it.
Now, one thing to mention though, if you're playing the crit heat sinking game, is that if you were to, and I just learned this past 2 weeks ago at Blackthorn over in Dixon, Tennessee, but if you crit the heat sink, even though it's a double heat sink, if you crit it, you only crit that one slot. You don't have to remove the entire 3-slotted heat sink. So yeah, this really is a zombie because you can hit the same heat sink over and over and over, apparently.
That is correct. I know for weapons, it's at least 2 hits before the weapon is considered destroyed, no matter how many slots it takes up. And I think if you just keep hitting slots on a multi-slot item, they're all still there until you hit them. So that's 3 different crits one single double heatsink can soak up.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
All right, let's get into the last one on his list. Tarantula ZPH-2A, 25 tons, 812-8 movement profile. I like it. Maybe I don't, looking at the armor. 2 ER medium lasers and a Streak SRM2. This is not a cheap investment at over 1,000 battle value at a 2-3 piloting gunnery.
So it's one of those where the first thing I do is go, look at that record sheet. How do I even read this thing? So if you ever take this in person, make sure you know how to use quad mechs first, because a lot of us will just see this and go, I don't know how this works, so I trust you know how to do it.
So I actually have used quad mechs a little bit. They're not terrible, if you ask me. One of the trade-offs between a quad mech and a regular bipedal mech is they have less crit slots overall. If you can look at the record sheet down here, the front leg takes up the arm slots, and there's far less slots, period, total. But in exchange, they get a higher maximum armor value, which I'm sure this little 25 tonner is using to its best ability with all 7 armor in every location that matters, except the head, which only has 6.
And I also learned this in my fight with Illyrian the other day using a Sirocco, whatever. You get like a bonus to all PSR checks because it's a quad, right?
That's correct. You got 2 legs for a +2 to piloting skill rolls, or 2 extra legs, I should say.
Downside being you have more leg actuators, so sometimes it's better for your leg to get destroyed instead of taking a bunch of crits.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, losing a leg only reduces your overall movement by 1 walking, and then of course your running is modified. So losing a leg is probably more beneficial to you than taking actuator hits. Although it does jump for 8, so we'll see how much he actually ends up walking.
So this is a mech that epitomizes Sergeant Deadeye Unther from MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, which is speed is life. You go slow, you die. So we'll see what happens to this commander.
Yeah, one other thing to note, and we'll see if we can catch Klint doing it, is that quad mechs can do a little sidestep where they move diagonally across a hex from one to the other, and they maintain their facing. It costs 2 movement, I think, to do that. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact number. I think it's 2. But you can cover some pretty far ground doing that. It's a little one of the few bonuses they get, as well as a bonus on going to ground and dropping prone.
Weird. I've got to learn how to use these. They sound fun, but strange.
Yeah. It's definitely a little getting used to. Remember, instead of arms, you've got 2 extra legs. Other than that, it's the exact same thing. But yeah, they can also mule kick, which we'll see if that happens.
If that tarantula is getting in melee, something's gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Or it's in the rear arc of something and kicking it.
True.
All right, let's look over the lists one last time. Any closing thoughts between these 2 lists? There's a lot of sniper mechs on Klint's side of the board. I'm curious to see if he can make them work.
I'll disagree with that, saying that you have basically the bunch of easy hitting short rangers. I mean, the Ghost is an SRM boat. You got your snub nose and large pulse inner spheres, so those are, like you said, about 9 hexes. The AC2 carrier, that one's going to struggle this round. And then you got your giant slab of meat. So for a city fight, I actually like this list because I think they can run and, pop away some shots. I think he'll get in the rear arc quite often, especially if he can take that Jaeger mech and Thug off guard. Jaeger mech, we already talked about. The Thug surprisingly doesn't have that much rear armor either.
Ooh, good thing to note. We'll see if Klint can take advantage of it. One thing to keep in mind, there's only 1 jumping mech in this match. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 2. I think the Fire Javelin can jump too. Yeah, the Fire Javelin and the Tarantula are the only 2 Oh, I'm sorry, and the Wolverine. So there's 3 total mechs that can jump, and jumping is huge in a city fight. We'll see if Desert can take advantage of his slight jump advantage, especially because neither of his 2 jumping mechs are his commander, or if the superior technology on Klint's list can overcome the big old slabs of armor on Desert's list.
Be exciting.
Yeah, who do you have to win this? One thing to note, I have not watched this yet, so we're going to be taking our time. Maybe we'll miss some things, maybe we'll catch some things, but this is going to be brand new. We're going in blind because it's a double blind city fight, so we're keeping in theme this time around.
So if I was placing money on this, looking at just the list for a city fight, I'd probably go with Desert just because he's got the armor. So I think he could outlast some of those like oops moments where you come around the corner and catch someone unaware. He's going to have a little more tankiness than those mentions. Um, I haven't really played Klint as a player yet. I think I made it play him 1 or 2 times. So I know Desert's play style, and I think he'll do good with this city fight. He likes to get up front as well. I've seen his Mana War Gargoyle just basically rush at somebody with armor. So I know he's comfortable with heavy armor getting in somebody's face. But if I was putting money down, I'm going to go with Desert only because he's got the armor to tank some of those surprises. But it's not going to be a clear cut.
You know what? I think I'm going to have to agree with you. That Wolverine and that Javelin can both jump, so I'm going to have to go with the side that's got more jumping mechs that are combat effective. I don't think Klint can afford to throw that Tarantula into something's rear arc, and unless it's completely free to take those shots and it can jump out next turn and get back to cover, he'll have to play hit and run with that Tarantula to get any use out of it. Or he does what I do with one of my Koshis that was my commander and hide it in the corner for the whole game, pretty much.
The other thing is those Menshins, while they can use their probes to find Desert's mechs, and they can, try to get into the rear, the way Mega Mech generates city maps, there's usually a lot of choke points. So I don't know if he's going to be able to get in a bunch of rear shots without jump jets.
Yeah, I agree completely. So let's get into this match. It's going to be a little slow going because we're not just looking at screenshots of each turn. Oh yeah, one thing to note, in double blind, if you're an observer, you have to pick a starting area. All right.
See, off, but okay.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way. Let's take a look at this map. Oh man, there is, if the camera would stop moving, there is quite a bit of terrain. I see hills in the north and the middle, all scattered about. Not really too many clean lanes of fire.
I see why this map was called San Francisco. I think it was supposed to be flatter. Maybe something was left on, but I understand why they called this San Francisco later.
Yeah, there are way too many hills on this version of the map. It might have been city on top of our usual map settings, which is not what most of the other matches I saw in this round look like. This is quite a bit more hilly than I was anticipating.
So 2 things to note about this. I say 2, and then I'll figure out more later. Actually 3. I see a swimming pool on one of these. That's just cool. But you can't necessarily tell the height of the buildings without looking at them all.
Yeah, that is real tedious. Or the construction factor. So you'd have to zoom in, check the height, check the construction factor, make sure you can stand on top of it without it collapsing immediately.
Then after that, with those hills, elevation is really important, but it'll be interesting to see if they can really find each other and give each other shots, except for those long firing lanes.
All right, let's get into the first turn. It looks like Klint won initiative, so Desert's going to be moving first. Desert placed his entire force up in the northeast corner of the map, all clustered around with his awesome commander out front. Ballsy move there, but I mean, you're gonna have to take the fight to him. Actually, he really doesn't need to take the fight to him. He can hide in a corner because he's up 23 points just for taking intro tech.
Well, he could, but if he wins the game 23-0, that's pretty much a loss because everyone else is going to be winning 50 to 100 or so.
Exactly. And points are what matter, not your win or your loss record. So there's actually no reason to stay hidden in the corner. It's only worth an extra 20 points. All right, first move we have is his fire javelin jumping up for what looks like 6. Next up, Klint moves his Ben Shen north. I'm not sure if they can see each other. One thing to note is I have See All on activated, so I can see the entire map, but I can't see what they see. So I don't know if they have a clear line of sight to each other. It looks like maybe the fire javelin could, depending on some of the hill height. And the AC2 carrier moving up a road, which I don't know if vehicles get a bonus if they move on a road. I think that might be only wheeled vehicles.
Yeah, you're thinking of the video games. I don't think they get a bonus, but
Okay.
I don't run them that often.
Yeah, for some reason I thought wheeled vehicles may get a bonus on if they spend their entire movement on a paved surface. But that could be an optional TAC ops rule.
Comment below and tell us we're wrong.
Please do, because I don't like being wrong. All right, Desert moves his thug up a little bit. These are just the opening moves, trying to feel each other out and see if you can see something, because it is double blind, so it's seek and destroy at the same time.
I don't know if you caught it, but basically, besides Desert deploying in one corner, Klint deployed down each of the major firing lanes so he could try to get a line of sight on something.
I was actually just about to point that out. I'm a little worried for Klint with this strategy. His units are spread out, so as soon as Desert sees something, he can commit his entire force to deleting that target. Whereas Klint is going to have to spend at least a turn or two getting across the map to be able to back up his unit.
The flip side is, if you remember that opening scene from Mech Commander, he might be able to get behind some of those mechs because he's in a city.
Also true. So we're almost done with movement on this first turn. Oh, that tarantula looks like it jumped for its full 8 or whatever right there.
Still looks like a fly jumping across my screen. That's weird.
Yeah, the sprite's a little funky looking. Only a couple mechs left to move. The Awesome down south, which is not his commander, for the Awesome 9Q, because there's 2 different Awesomes in this game. The Awesome for Klint has not moved yet.
So that tarantula, if he was trying to play the objective, really should have just found a hidey hole somewhere and jumped in it. So I'm thinking, close to his deployment zone is at 21-23. You're basically covered on multiple sides by heavy buildings.
Yeah.
If you were trying to hide, that'd be a good spot. But he's a jump 8, so he'd be a good spotter at the same time.
Definitely. I'm a little curious to see what he does with that tarantula, if he's going to try to bring its weapons to bear. Oh, mass going off for the 2 men Shens. Both succeed.
Needs 3, rolls 3.
That's a close call. Better than rolling 2 on your very first turn when you use your mask in the city like I did.
I don't think that Men Shen and Ghost can get to the other side of the map if they keep going north without going through buildings. Are you reading that as well?
Yeah, I don't think he's got a clear line of movement. He's going to have to go into climb mode, maybe right here. Maybe right here he can move through. But
yeah.
I don't know if that's paved or if it's a building right here or what with these little gray hexes. Maybe that's where he's aiming for, but he is definitely cut off on this northern section of the map, other than this little pass, if it is passable terrain. He would have to risk damaging his mechs to walk through buildings otherwise.
Correct. So like the top right, quadrant is almost completely isolated. That's unique. I see is that some shots going off from the Awesome?
Looks like the Battlemaster's firing off onto Klint's Awesome.
4-1 disadvantage there.
Let's skip a little through the firing lines phase. Oh, here we go. First round of firing. It looks like it's only the Awesome taking shots, with the Battlemaster returning 1 PPC Awesome needs 10s and nails him with 2 PPCs to the right arm. 4 armor remaining already on the opening salvo for Klint. I'm sorry, for on Sam's little battle master. Not good. And of course, the return fire on the battle master misses, needing 10s. Battle master stays standing though, so that's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel there for him.
We say it all the time. Throw enough dice and weird stuff happens like that.
Oh yeah, like my match yesterday against Brad, where he needed boxcars on the very first turn and nailed boxcars, and then nailed me with all 20 missiles out of an LRM-20 on the first round to take out half of my Koshi.
Don't tell my thug that. It had a dual ER large laser to the head on turn 1 as well.
Ooh, yeah, that's ouch. One thing that is fairly annoying in these city fights that I don't think there's anything we can do about it is anytime a unit ends adjacent to any sort of building, it's going to ask you if you want to melee the building. You can just skip through this. Just be careful once you do get into fisticuff range that you don't accidentally skip a unit that can punch another unit. That would be very, very bad. Or just
downside. Go ahead.
I was gonna, or mainly just a missed opportunity.
Yeah, the other downside is if you did destroy a building, you think, oh, all right, cool, I'm just kicking stuff for no reason. Well, now he knows where the destroyed building is. He knows where your mech is.
Yeah, so you really don't want to give up the ghost. It'd be really hard to check the construction factor of every single building every turn after you go punching buildings, but it is something that can give you away.
And if anybody is checking individual buildings, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, don't do that. You're taking too long on your turn if you're doing that. For the love of MRC, don't do that. All right, AC Carrier moving up. That is one ballsy, lightly armored vehicle. He's literally in the middle of the map with some of the longest range weapons in the game, with 0 line of fire.
I don't like that for 2 reasons. One, as you mentioned, he doesn't have any line of fire, and 2, Desert can get quite a bit of points off something that's relatively easy to kill there. So why throw easy points his direction?
Yeah, he's spread out, and maybe he's trying to get around to the rear and get some crit seeking on the rear from some of these mechs, but it's going to take him a long time to get there if that's the plan.
Is that the thug that just ran up into? Oh, and followed by the Jaeger mech. So Desert's advancing, but that's risky because that Min Shin hasn't moved yet. I don't know if he can see it.
He may not be able to see it, although he did get shots on the Awesome, and they're in a fairly open spot, so he should be able to see both mechs there. I'm only assuming he took the shot on the Awesome because he only needed 10s, and the Min Shin probably needed 11s or 12s.
Min Shin, I want to see you go behind that Jaeger mech and just pop its ammo bin.
I don't know if he can get there. No, he can mask up for 12. He could get there for sure, right along this little path here. I'd like to see that as well, because the Jaeger mech is extremely lightly armored in the rear.
Either that or get up there and, well, no, you'd have to go in the building to kick the Wolverine in the head.
Yeah, Ghost moving up on the northeast side of the map when all of the action seems to be happening on the west side. This is exactly what I was worried about. Desert's committing his entire force to the first target he sees, and Klint is busy scrambling to get his force into position to, counteract the movement.
I don't know if he can see it, but that fire javelin and that tarantula are right next to each other, but they probably can't see each other. So middle of the map, there's potential commander down if they play it wrong.
Yeah, the fire javelin, there's one, two, three, four, about 4 buildings in the way. I don't think that tarantula is in line of sight for anything, assuming those buildings are at least level 2.
Yeah, it's just one of those, again, you're going to turn the corner and go, oh, shoot.
Yeah, definitely not something you want to do with your commander, of all things. Although, I will say this, he's being very ballsy with his commander, just throwing him into the middle of the map along with his AC2 carrier.
I'll respect the player doing that more than one that goes prone in a hole somewhere.
Yep. Yep, can't argue with the results. And hey, in my defense, I did bring my Commander Koshi out to play, trying to get some cheeky, tiebreaker points. And Illyrian did get 25 points for putting him in force withdrawal.
Oh, I'm not criticizing it as a strategy. I did the same thing with my stealth in Twilight Heat, jumping 7 into woods all the time. But it is nice to see them not hold them back. They're at least getting them where they're in play.
Oh, I don't like that
What?
move. I don't like that one bit.
Z just showed his rear to the Jaegermech?
I don't know if the Jaeger mech has line of sight. There might be a building. Let's take a look. Oh no, there's a building.
Ah,
So
yeah,
let's
there is a
pause
building.
here. Let's look at some of these possible lines of fire. Nope, Jaeger mech is blocked by a building right here. Thug probably blocked by another building right there. That Wolverine, though, may be able to see him depending on what elevation he's on and what elevation these buildings are. If that's the case, then was not the play for that Men Shen. You can see what hexes have vision on you when you click on a hex as a preview before you move there. So maybe he doesn't have line of sight because this building right here is tall enough. Hopefully that's the case. If not, I
Yeah,
would consider that a misplay.
this is where I wish we had the player commentary, because if he was trying to regroup his forces in the middle of the map and kind of draw everything on the awesome, I could see that, because so far he probably hasn't seen. Well, he might be able to see Desert's awesome, but if he was trying to drag all the forces one direction and then ambush them, I could see that of being a reason to run the Min Shin. But otherwise, that's man, take out the mechs.
I agree with you there. He could have gone for the rear on that Jaeger mech. That is if he had line of sight to him, which I think that Awesome maybe doesn't. There's another building
And
right here, so he may not have line of sight. So he may not have known they were there. And all of his active probes, I think, are on the other side of the map. The Ghost has an active probe, and I think maybe the Tarantula or the Men Shin. I don't remember off the top of my head. We can look that
uh,
up.
both of the Min Shins have active probes.
Oh, well, hell, he should be able to see that his entire force, or most of it, is in this general vicinity.
This is the disclaimer of, we're not saying this is, a bad move. We're just saying we don't understand it.
Yeah, he may have had his reasons. He may have seen 4 blips on his radar over here and said, oh shit, I need to get out of Dodge, which is a valid assessment.
Did not think of that, because he probably didn't want to trade a Min Shin for a crappy Jaeger.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. That's the OC. I do believe that is the one with the 2 large pulse lasers.
Correct.
All right, let's get back into it and see how the rest of this movement shakes out. Last thing to move, I think, is this Awesome for Klint, the Awesome for for Sam, and the Men Shin and the Ghost up in the north. Up, and they're done moving, and it's firing time. I guess that Men Shin or the Awesome didn't move. It looks.
I'd say the awesome for Klint looks like it's targeting that Wolverine.
Yep, there we go. So he definitely has line of sight to the Wolverine. We'll see if any return fire goes back to that Awesome. That means that whatever building this is not very high. Right here.
Don't think he can see him, because that building in Hex 517 might be giving partial cover from the Thug and Jaegermech.
Oh, gotcha. Right there.
Oh,
Oh
and
no,
the one
right
he's
there.
next.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, hopefully that building's tall enough that it's blocking line of sight to those other 2 mechs. I'll take that. Trading fire with your Awesome on a Wolverine, no problem. You should win that trade, hopefully. All right, let's skip a little bit, see if there's any other lines. It doesn't look like it. Looks like everybody's just dunning out. So that's going to be the only firing we have. Wolverine onto the Awesome, and Awesome onto the Wolverine. Ooh, what do we have here?
We got a leg hit from the Awesome to the Wolverine, but I'm more concerned about that medium laser that poked the head of the Awesome there.
Uh-oh. 4 armor remaining. That is not a good look. 1 pilot hit. He makes his consciousness check, thank God.
Oh, look at that, though. The SRM-6, he was punching Infernos that round, so he's heated up that Awesome quite a bit.
Oh, wow. So 8 more heat on a already barely being heat efficient mech. He's probably only going to be firing 2 PPCs next turn.
Well, he only fired 3 this turn, so he can sink that. I wonder if he saw the Wolverine. No, because the Awesome fired first.
Correct.
So there's the pro tip of the day. If you want to fire Infernos, try to wait until the very end to see if it's worth firing those.
Okay, we're getting into movement, and I am curious about what I'm seeing here. The AC2 carrier, the Men Shen. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I apologize. This is the physical attack phase. That's going to be fairly annoying. Where you just have to done out of all this if you're not in fisticuff range. Okay, now let's get into movement.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see the mechs doing something besides doing the shopping cart dance of strutting down the road and picking things up from the shelf.
Definitely. Battlemaster moving up onto a hill. He's got line of sight on that awesome again.
Go pressure it. Get that armor on top of them. Not really sure what the Jaeger mech's doing. It needs to get on elevation, but the Thug and the Battlemaster and the Wolverine, go gank them.
Yeah, I want to see that Jaeger mech move basically 2X's to his right and sit there on that hill.
Or right behind the Battlemaster for some partial cover if he was trying to screen the middle.
Yeah, that's also acceptable. Although he would have a building blocking a good portion of his field of fire. And AC2 carrier moves straight north again. I think he's going for the flanking maneuver here. It's going to be the long con.
Yeah, it may be a long con. It may also just be he wants to get into Desert's deployment zone to see if there's anything hiding. But at this point, he probably knows where all of his mechs are.
Yeah,
Except the Fire Javelin.
Unless he's rolled terrible on his active probe rolls, which we don't know, he should know where all of Desert's mechs are. They come up as a little blip that just says contact. One thing to note is you can tell whether or not. Oh, look at that! Thug walks right up into the Awesome's face.
Kicking time.
For the Awesome, if he stays still, that is.
They're both 80 tonners. The Awesome has more armor, but they can both do 16 to the legs.
Although it looks like that Awesome is up 1 elevation minimum on that Thug, so I would take that melee trade any day of the week. Kick to the face on the Thug, and he's pretty much done.
That's a head capper now.
Uh-oh, we've got problems over on the northwest toward the center of the map. Men Shen looks like he tried to either go on top of or through a building, and it collapsed. He is now prone from the looks of it.
That's where we talk about the climb mode button. So you have to hit climb mode in order to go into a building safely, but I'm not sure if you can run through them. I think you can just walk. I've never used it.
I think you can only walk, and there's a piloting skill roll to see if you damage the building. You damage the building no matter what when you enter it, but there's a piloting skill roll to see if you damage your mech. And it looks like he probably didn't use climb mode considering the entire building collapsed. So he probably either tried to walk up it and the construction factor of the building couldn't handle the weight of his 55-ton mech. We'll have to maybe ask him later to see what happened there. And the ghost maybe wisely goes around further to the north to get around that building that the Men Shen just collapsed. I think I would have liked to see it just go through the gap that the Men Shen sacrificed itself to make.
I think this really does look like he's just sweeping the map to make sure there's nothing up there.
Yeah, but I think he's wasting too much time on this maneuver. Look at what's going on around that Awesome. There's 3 mechs, possibly 4 once that Wolverine moves, that are going to be in firing range. Well, maybe not the Jaeger mech. The Jaeger mech probably has buildings in the way. But there's 2 mechs that have a clean line of fire to that Awesome, and I don't know if he can get out of that line of fire where he's at currently.
There's a building to the Awesome's upper right, so he might be able to back up and reverse a little bit. But
he's going uphill if he does that, and we can't tell what height that building is. It may not be worth it. We'll have to see what he moves. Though it does look like he's waiting to move that Awesome last.
Men Shen starts moving up the field, and the Wolverine can probably see it, so that means the Fire Javelin and the Wolverine have a chance to try to ambush it.
Yeah, that Fire Javelin might not know he's there, depending on the height of these buildings. But if he does know he's there, that fire javelin's gonna jump and get rear shots on that Menshen for sure.
Now the risk of that is a jump would only, well, even if it wasn't a jump, if it was just a run, he's only going to get 2, 3, 4, 5 hexes. He can't get any more than a 3 bonus, and the Minshin, I think, can shoot and flip its arms to get those large pulse lasers on it.
Definitely something you need to look out for. I would definitely recommend jumping over running on pavement, though, any day of the week, believe me. Every single time you change direction, that's a piloting skill check.
It's easy. You just roll 12s all day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. When you put it that way, game's real easy. Oh, the fire javelin jumps away, and so does the Wolverine. Looks like they're dogpiling onto this awesome 9Q, trying to eliminate one of the heavy hitters as soon as possible. Here is a rundown of the movement phase. Let's take a look at what happened to that Menshen.
So it looks like the building collapsed due to the heavy load. I think he did have, I think he was probably in the mode where he's trying to run on top of it.
Yeah, it looks like it was a level 2 building. So if you don't use climb mode, you're automatically gonna walk up it as though it's a level 2 hill.
And you notice what the damage says there, right?
Suffering 18 damage to his front. Ooh, that is not good. That's a lot of damage for walking on top of a building. He could have used climb mode and probably saved himself at least half of that, even if he failed his piloting skill roll.
To be fair, it sounds like a mistake I would make too.
Yeah, this one thing to note, this is the first time for a lot of people seeing buildings in a city fight, not to mention it's double blind as well. So there's a lot of firsts for a lot of players, and mistakes like that happen. Believe me, the first time I played it, I knew you could move a mech into a building. I just didn't know how to make Mega Mech do it. And climb mode is the answer to that question. All right, let's see what happens next. Oh, looks like the Menshen made its mask roll on 5s. Risky.
We're going to pour one out for that awesome prematurely.
Well, we may. That's a lot of fire raining down on him. Let's get into the firing for this turn, and very little return fire. You've got a minimum of 3 mechs that are going to be taking shots at him. Maybe 4 if that javelin has a line.
Or 5 if that awesome. Well, no, there's line of sight. Well,
he's on elevation. So depending on what this hill is right here, that awesome 8Q in the rear may get shots off on the 9Q of Klint's. Let's fast forward a little bit to get into the lines.
I want to see that awesome, though, return head kick that thug.
If he's still standing, he's about to take a lot of damage because he did not move. So he's got no movement modifier.
And the NFL variant has the attack ops modifier with the +1 for every 20 damage. So if he takes 40 or 60 damage, he's going to be taking +2, +3 to his PSR for +20.
That is correct. So the more damage you take, the harder that piloting skill roll is in every increment of 20. I think we saw somebody take like 80 damage and make their piloting skill check on like 8s or something. If I remember correctly, it might have been Matt's Blood Reaper back in round 2.
I think so.
Oh.
I see red.
So the Battlemaster fires. PPC hits right torso, hits right arm. Let's scroll down a little bit. Weapons fire for awesome 9Q. Ooh, critical hit on the Battlemaster, limb blown off. There we go. That's some return fire that you definitely want to see if you're Klint. He only fired 2 PPCs this turn because of that heat from those Infernos, but he only needed 4s, and he missed with the 3 on that second PPC. I know the feeling there, buddy. Believe me.
Now, another thing to note is the Wolverine did not fire its SRMs or Infernos this round, but if you scroll down a bit, we'll see if the Thug did.
Oh, that's right.
But the Wolverine did get some solid hits. Large laser and 2 mediums needing 6s, rolls a 6, a 7, and a 7. So kind of scattered it about, but nearly opened up the right torso on that awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, scrolling down a bit, we have the awesome blowing off the Battlemaster's arm that we just mentioned. And the Wolverine putting more damage into the awesome 9Q. Definitely taking a peppering there from that large laser and 2 medium lasers.
Oh, but look at the Thug. There's the Infernos. SRM4. 3 Inferno missiles hit ×2. So that's another 12 heat on that awesome. It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, thankfully he only fired 2 PPCs this turn. Maybe he'll have enough more. He'll have enough heat sinks to sink all 12 of that extra heat that he just got. And the fire javelin.
Yeah, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out for him.
Yeah, no kidding. The javelin needs 8s, hits 1 medium laser. Down to 14 armor on the left torso. He's taken more than 40 damage, needs a 6, and makes his standing roll. Physical attack phase. Let's look at the punches and kick for the awesome. Punch, 8 damage to the right leg of the awesome. Not bad for, an 80-ton mech.
Ooh, but look at that awesome. He only needed a 1 in 6 chance of destroying the thug. And luckily he hit a right arm for Desert. But that was a very risky move there.
Yeah, that is a close call. You're definitely wiping sweat off your brow if you're Desert there. That could have been one dead thug. Very risky move. He makes his piloting roll for being kicked. Only needs a 4 because he's almost 3 4s across the board there. But let's see how much heat that awesome sunk. Where is it? 9Q. Hey, he was at 32 heat, even after taking those 2 extra SRMs worth of Infernos, and he sinks 37. So he is completely neutral. Good call, firing only 2 PPCs there. Even though he had 4s, I would have probably fired at least 3.
Absolutely. So that is a lucky move, but the risk is Desert can just constantly fire Infernos at him, and I didn't notice this before. You see that on the Tarantula? It's running its stealth as we speak.
Oh, really? Where do you see that? I didn't even notice. Oh, right there, adding 10 heat from stealth armor. But he's still sinking all of it, so... Huh, that's interesting.
Or no, it's not the Tarantula. It's the mech below it. It's probably the Ghost.
Oh, yeah, it's the Ghost. That's right. Okay.
That would make more sense.
That's why it's all question marked out. Because Desert can't see it. Because it's off on the other side of the map. All right, round 4. Who wins initiative? It looks like Klint wins initiative for round 4, so Desert's going to have to move first.
Well, and that's okay, because Klint can move basically literally everything and then move the awesome last, because Desert's going after that awesome.
Most definitely. And now we're into the next turn, getting into movement. Let's see who decides to go first. Oh, well, I mean, of course, Desert has to go first, but let's see what he decides to move first.
Now, I did notice that Tarantula is actually trying to get in the rear arc of that awesome, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud him for his ballsiness, but an awesome's very heavily armored in the rear, especially that 8Q. And the Battlemaster just walks up, getting into point blank range almost. 2X's away from that awesome. I'd like to see Klint move him back 2 hexes at least at this point, just to get some range in between him and some of those other units. Although he does have a nice little choke point, so it's never mind.
Oh, nope, he's starting to limit his options there.
He's almost stuck. The Wolverine jumps directly behind him, going for the rear shots and blocking off the easy backing up escape route that he had. Sometimes going first pays off.
So it's not that we're prioritizing one side over the other, but we really like aggressive plays, and that is a lot of pressure being applied in the bottom left corner there.
Yeah, I'd like to see him unload with Infernos on that Wolverine, especially because he's already spent a lot of time. Oh, look at that. He is completely trapped. That awesome is going nowhere. The fire javelin jumps to the rear, to the back right hex, so he's on the right side arc of the awesome currently. The awesome has no moves.
Well, you say that. I wonder if he could use climb mode and reverse into that building there.
Now, he probably could, and that is possible, but it's a risky proposition because he's currently on elevation, and I don't think maybe that building is as well. If the building's on elevation with him and he goes in to the first floor, then that's fair game. He can use the building for cover, and it'll absorb damage for him. It's depending on the construction factor, of course. But that would be the best play if he can do it. One thing to note is if you enter any floor that's not the ground floor, it takes the construction factor of the building into account. And if your mech weighs more than the construction factor, the building will instantly collapse. Men Shen OC moved up a little bit, trying to get flanking, maybe on the awesome. It is Crush the Head, so he's trying to find that awesome that he probably knows the general vicinity of where it is, especially because it shot at his awesome, and I'm pretty sure he's in line of sight for now.
Well, and this might also be, remember when we said maybe he was trying to draw fire with his awesome, that commander of deserts is pretty exposed if those speedy boys can get behind it.
Yeah, I'd like to see him wait for that awesome to move and get that tarantula in the rear arc. Klint does have the last move, so it is possible. The only problem is that he's still got half of his force out of range. The AC2 carrier has done nothing. So is the Menshin OF. He's sweeped the board, but he should have known where every single one of his opponent's mechs are after like the first 2 turns. So I would have liked to see him regroup a lot sooner.
He's playing the long game. That's a turning arc, but with only 15 turns, that's, again, there's not a wrong move until the game finishes, and then hindsight's 2020.
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. The thug backed up and gave the awesome an out, so he moves up and gives his left arc to the Battlemaster. Well, I don't know if the Fire Javelin and the Wolverine will have a line of sight to him this turn. Don't think the awesome, which just moved up, can see him currently. But that also means that unless Klint takes a ballsy jump with that tarantula, he won't probably know exactly where that awesome is. Because
I wonder why he moved that thug out of the way, because he could have easily just kept them there.
He may have been worried about another kick to the face, which is definitely something to be concerned about. But I would have probably just risked trading the thug for the awesome in the event that the awesome doesn't fall after taking 4 mechs worth of fire. Possibly 5 with that 8Q. All right, let's look at some of these piloting rolls.
I see red. We see a lot of good rolls for reckless driving on pavement here. But then you get down to the Menshin. It needed a 3 and it rolled a 2 and it got a critical hit on its lower leg and hip. So that Menshin is going to struggle.
That's a mask failure on a 3. Oh, that is one of the worst feelings in the game.
Now, also notice there are like 8 or 9 piloting rolls here. That Menshin needed 7s and it rolled twice. And it rolled a double 8 to beat its piloting skill rolls after the mask failure.
Yep. He only needed 3s for most of that running on pavement, and he made them, thankfully. You don't want to roll Snake Eyes twice, like I did the other day, while you're running.
Strange things happen.
Oh, yeah. So it looks like most everything made it out alive with a piloting skill roll. Now, let's see what lines of fire can be drawn. Where did that tarantula end up? He jumped back toward the middle of the map, away from where all the action is. I don't know if I like that. I mean, granted, it's his commander. He needs to keep it safe. But a jump for 8 just to get some line of sight, maybe get eyes on that awesome for future reference. Would like to see that.
That Menshin, the one that's closer to the awesome with the large pulse lasers, I think, that's the one that took the hits to the hip.
Correct. That is the one that failed its mask roll. Looks like the Wolverine, the Fire Javelin, the Thug, more than likely. Oh, nope. The Jaeger mech has a shot.
On rear the awesome shot.
Yeah, rear arc. Although I don't even know if the Jaeger mech has enough damage to penetrate his rear armor with all of his weapons. Maybe if they all hit the same location. But you might as well fish. Maybe you'll get another headshot. Battlemaster unloading into the Awesome 9Q. Let's see. I'm assuming the Awesome 9Q is going to be the last thing to fire because everything else is probably dunned out for the time being.
Well, and if he was worried about Infernos, he could twist and shoot his torso PPCs while also punching.
Also true. Although nothing with Infernos, I think, has line of sight on him, unless that Battlemaster is also loaded with Infernos and it's SRM6. Let's take a look. Jaegermech nails the Awesome with all of its weapons. A full Alpha Strike that completely connected, Man, I wish I could roll like that. Hits all of his fives. Usually I miss at least two of those. Needed 4 fives. But that precision ammo coming into play here.
So I know that Jaeger mech pretty well, and it only has 10 heat sinks. So it rolled probably to 14 before you even get to the movement. So it definitely is overheating slightly.
Yeah, I think he might be at 2 heat. Let's pull up the actual combat and take a look. There's all the piloting skill rolls, but because Sam can't see them, they don't tell us who they are. Weapon attack phase. There's the Jaeger mech nailing the awesome in the rear. He hits the torso a little bit, but nothing penetrates. Oh, never mind. I take that back. Rear torso penetrates. 13 internal structure remaining. Wait, is that rear or is that right side?
That's
No.
left side table.
Using the left side table. So that right side is exposed for that 9Q, which is definitely dangerous. Let's see if he survives the fire from the Battlemaster.
The Battlemaster still pegs him with some SRM 6s hitting that same torso. Nothing going nothing going critical, but stripping some armor on the left arm and left torso, but more hits to that right torso.
Yeah, needing 5s across the board for the Battlemaster, nailing with almost everything, missing with 2 weapons that only need 5s. Now it's starting to look like more like my luck.
Well,
Although he did hit quite a bit more.
Yeah, that left torso only has 2 armor left after that machine gun chewed into it as well.
Oh yeah, consider that can opened. Maybe he's better off giving them rear armor now.
Oh, but look at that return fire.
Man, 3 PPCs on 9s because it was basically point blank range. Only hits with 1. So that's short, or 4 PPCs, sorry. That minimum range coming into play there in a negative way for that awesome 9Q.
Wonder if he thought it was going to explode, so he's just like, screw it, I'm a fire all the lasers.
I mean, he's got the heat sinks for it. He's only at 4 heat at the end of that when all is said and done. He did take 40 damage, and he did make his piloting skill check.
That's valid.
Yeah, he also just gets kicked by the Battlemaster for 17 damage and makes his other piloting skill check. So he's still standing, surprisingly, after suffering a withering set of fire there. All right, let's get into the next round. Heat's looking pretty neutral. Battlemaster's at 4, Awesome's at 4, and the Jaeger mech generated a grand total of 1 heat there. Not bad, actually, for a full alpha strike. Probably didn't move this turn, I guess.
Yeah, it had to have stayed still, because that's, you know what? Medium lasers are only 3 heat. I'm thinking ERs, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, so he would have walked.
Ah, okay, he did walk for 1. There we go. And initiative time, it looks like Klint wins again. So hopefully he can use that to his favor and get that awesome out of trouble. Let's take a look.
The way you win Mega Mech initiatives is just having an alphabetically lower name. That's what it appears to be.
Yeah, that seems to work for everybody else. Yeah, Brad/Deviant. Yep, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, min-maxing that.
Okay, we're getting into the next turn. Looks like it's still Sam's turn to move. Don't think he's moved anything yet.
I want to see Sam just continue to dogpile that awesome and maybe try to, if you take him off the board, that's cool, but then maybe try to get that Min-Shin that's got the hip and the lower actuator hit, because you can knock that thing over pretty easily. The fire or javelin could try to put pressure on that.
Yeah, the problem is he needs to see it and find it first. He's got no active probe, so his sensor rolls are significantly hampered. He's cutting the avenue of escape off for that awesome by jumping that Wolverine in front of it. Oh, and it looks like the Min-Shin backed up 2 hexes, maybe? I really don't know what that Min-Shin is trying to do or where it's trying to go. But not having jump jets where there's roads and buildings everywhere is definitely hindering it.
It's definitely confused what's going on in the middle of the map. Now they're going back towards the deployment zone, so my theory of trying to do a long maneuver to the rear of the awesome doesn't seem to be panning out.
Yeah, the Min-Shin basically spent, 4 turns in this top right corner of the map, sweeping the area along with the Ghost, and he should have known that the enemies in almost the entire force is in the bottom left portion of the map now. So he should have been on his way back to regroup with his awesome and his other Menshen OC a lot sooner than this.
Looks like the awesome went and showed its rear to the fire javelin, maybe because it's got more rear armor than. Oh no, that's the front. Sorry, the Wolverine. My apologies. The Wolverine there is going to try to kick him.
No, the Wolverine's in front of him, facing to the south, I do believe.
No, the awesome to Wolverine.
Yeah, the awesome's in his what is that, right side arc, in prime kicking range of that Wolverine. He definitely needs that awesome to take something out to earn its battle value. Right now, the only thing that's taken any real damage is that thug.
Now he needs Desert can move his commander just like one hex forward and get a rear shot in short range on that awesome if it wants.
Yeah, and he's going to be unloading with 3 PPCs, and I'm pretty sure short range at that point.
And the awesome has 10 rear armor on those torsos, so it's going to get messed up.
Yeah, if he double taps any one of those torsos, it's going to be not good for that 9Q, considering that he's already taken internal hits, I think.
19 rear torso center armor on that awesome 9Q. Damn.
Oh, man, that is one big... that's a lot of cake in the rear there.
This is like you got a whole Locust strapped on you.
Pretty much. 19 armor might be more than some Locust variants have total. All right, the Ghost is coming back down south. He's still quite far away. Only 1, maybe 2 units going to fire for Klint this turn. He's definitely losing the war of attrition so far.
One thing we haven't mentioned is Klint is making a lot of piloting rolls. I don't know if it's just because he doesn't need to or because he's trying to keep his gunnery low, but Desert's definitely mining his P's and Q's on needing to roll piloting skills.
Yeah, at this point, he can walk and stay in range of that that awesome 9Q with his entire force. He has no reason to run because he's going to win any exchange with that awesome. Speaking of which, he is now completely surrounded for the most part. He's going to be taking fire from at least 5 mechs. I don't think he's long for this world.
But even if Desert does end up killing that awesome, it's only going to change the points 20 points. So we're still going to have turns 5 or 6 wherever we're on. It's still going to be a fairly low point game so far.
Very true. Desert will be up 20 points if he kills this awesome, assuming that he doesn't whiff completely and have a terrible round of luck. I don't think the awesome's going to survive this turn personally, but we'll see.
Take a look at that Min Shin. It's shooting a building in front of the javelin.
Yeah, I think he's tired of these damn buildings being in his way. I mean, that's one thing. It's definitely viable to knock a building over if it's in your way. War crimes, happen on occasion. But that awesome is gonna take fire from all 6 mechs of Desert's force this turn. That's not something that you want to see.
Way I feel on that is it's like we're currently under a tornado watch, so that awesome is under a PPC warning. It is, the conditions are right for it to just get slammed.
Yeah, no, and the Battle Master's in melee range, so even if, let's say, the awesome does survive the damage, it's going to have a hell of a piloting roll to stay standing, and that Battle Master's going to kick him right in the teeth, I'm sure, if he falls.
This will be one of the few times that I actually recommend punching instead of kicking, so that's that's the Battle Master. So that Wolverine can turn, it can fire its SRM-6, and medium laser, but then it has 2 chances of punching on the punch table, and those torsos are exposed, so it could go critical with punches.
As is his head. He took a headshot earlier from a medium laser, so he's only got 4 more armor there, which will go internal if he connects with a punch for 5 damage.
Correct.
All right, let's skip ahead a little bit and see. Oh, look, the Tarantula does have a line of fire on that fire javelin, revealing himself.
I see red.
Oh no, let's get into the combat log here. Round 5, movement, weapon attack, awesome 8Q into the rear arc of the 9Q. 10 damage right arm, 10 damage right arm, 10 damage left leg. Goes
Mm.
internal on the leg and gets the upper and lower leg actuator on the crits. Ooh.
So you're going to be rolling +1 for 20, +1 for upper, +1 for lower. It's going to be a lot of hits the skill checks this turn.
Oh yeah, we're not done yet. I don't think that Awesome's going to be standing. He takes 2 AC5s to the rear, 2 medium lasers to the rear, and 2 AC2s. Oh no, he misses with 1 AC5 and 1 AC2. So he needed decently higher numbers this turn, but still connects with most of the weapons on that Jaeger mech. Let's scroll down a bit. Menchen shoots at the building.
I mean, Mention pilot's probably like, screw it, I'm going to destroy something here, and that building's in my way, so it's going down. But look at the fire javelin. I see reds. I'm immediately look and see that there's no crits, but it hits those open torsos and left leg again.
Yeah, he's getting very lucky. Granted, that 9Q is filled out in crit slots, so it's likely that you just hit something that's already been hit, or maybe just take out the heatsink. But looking at the Awesome's return fire, he pours into that javelin, needing 8s, and he nails them with 2 PPCs, 3 PPCs. Ooh.
Excuse me, 4 PPCs.
Oh, he does hit him with all 4. Blows off the right arm, goes internal. 4 structure remaining on the left arm from the looks of it. Yeah, that javelin is tore up. 6 internal structure remaining on the right torso, 6 internal structure remaining on the left torso.
So I don't know if you caught it, but that's the left arm is screwed up. The right torso is blown off entirely. So that so that javelin it's only got 2 medium lasers left if it doesn't fall and destroy itself.
Yeah, no kidding. That is a good bit of damage there on that javelin. Luckily, I think it's a standard engine, so he's still in the fight, in theory. Going down to the thug. Uh-oh, I see red. Nails him in the center torso on the right side arc, and then nails him in the right torso, destroys the section outright. Ooh, 6 damage transfers to the center torso, and he crits out 2 double heat sinks.
This is why the Awesome is basically the Randy Marsh of mechs. It's just got a torso missing. It's like, I didn't hear no bell.
Oh yeah, we'll see if he stays standing though. He might get back up, but he's definitely probably going to fall after all that damage.
Well, here's the thing. We're not done with the damage yet. There's still 2 more mechs that are going after him.
Very true. Tarantula fires at the javelin, needs 10s across the board, and whiffs all 3 of its weapons. Wolverine 6M unloads into the Awesome as well. Left arm, left torso, 9 internal structure remaining. Generates 6 more heat. Ooh, that's not good.
That's not good because he fired all 4 PPCs and he just lost a torso. So there's a lot of missing heat sinks now.
Yep, that is going to be one toasty Awesome if it survives. And the Battle Master also unloading into the Awesome on the right side table. Center torso, 8 armor. Left torso, 4 internal structure remaining. More heat, 10 more heat during the heat phase. Uh-oh, I think he's maxed out there on heat. Yeah, 6 from the Wolverine and another 10 from the Battle Master. That is a total of 16, which gets capped at 15. So that is one toasty boy. He's probably going to be making shutdown and ammo explosion checks, which he doesn't have any ammo.
Oh, and he just lost another PPC in his left torso to a machine gun from the Battle Master. So that may be one of the few times that you could use a machine gun to do crit seeking.
I mean, that's really what they're there for. He's in range, and you got it. Might as well use it. It costs no heat.
So the Javelin only needs to make a 6 for its piloting roll, even though it took 40 damage, and it passes it with an 8 quite easily.
Yeah, so the Javelin's not going down, taking extra damage. But the Awesome, on the other hand, taking 100+ damage this turn with 2 leg and foot actuator hits, needs an 11. Unfortunately, only rolls a 4. He falls. 1 armor remaining on his center torso. 3 damage transfers to center torso because he took 3 on his right torso. Armor is destroyed on the center torso. 23 structure remaining. Takes a crit, but no critical effect.
We were talking about that Blood Reaper tanking with an 80 plus damage roll being insane. I have not seen 100 plus damage yet, so this is that may be the biggest hitting round of the tournament, even.
Yeah, that is insane. 100, over 100 damage. And he may not be standing, which the Blood Reaper was, if I remember correctly. It even took an ammo explosion that turn.
Correct.
But the Awesome did tank and is still technically alive. It did, of course, fall, but he failed his seatbelt check and took the second pilot hit of this round.
So here's the problem with that, though. He's on the ground, and he's got a big, angry Battlemaster weighing, 85 tons right in front of him.
Yeah, and he kicks him, needs a 5. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Needs a 1, rolls a 5. So he automatically hits, needing a 1. And what does he hit him, Pirate?
Left torso, limb blown off. So it looks like that's just insult to injury. Hits the left torso, destroys it. The left arm's blown off. 15 damage transfers to the center. And he's got 8 internal structure remaining, but he double critted that standard gyro. So that Awesome, for all intents and purposes, is dead next round.
Yeah, he's never getting up. And considering he's missing an arm, I think he's done firing as well. So that Awesome is effectively dead, if not actually dead. But he did take a full 6 units worth of damage.
So heat phase, the only thing real note here, everyone's pretty much under the 5 except the Awesome, which gained 57 heat.
Good Lord.
Sank some of it, but it's at 35 heat, shuts down, and it fails his ammo explosion roll.
Well, that's not the worst thing to happen, because there's no ammo. So at least there's a little light at the end of that tunnel. Maybe you would have preferred to see the ammo go up and then have to roll for catastrophic engine failure. Maybe you could do some damage on the way out, being a hand grenade.
That is a possibility. I have lost 3 mechs to a stack pole before, so it'll be interesting to see if Desert backs off this next turn.
Yep, and Sam/Desert wins initiative again. Actually, I'm sorry, for the first time. Klint won initiative the last 2 turns in a row, I do believe. So let's get into the next round.
Well, good thing is the wind is calm, the weather is clear, and it is daylight in Murder City.
Alrighty, let's get into the movement here. Oh, Fire Javelin is in force withdrawal, missing, I think, internal on 2 torsos.
Yeah, it's missing a torso.
Yeah, missing at least 1 torso. Oh no, I think he's missing 1 torso and internal on the other, because he got PPCs to each torso.
Right. So, variant of the neurofeedback loop, the NFL, is that because you can't undo moves in Mega Mech, you don't have to move towards your home edge just because we're going to break that rule often and frequently and repeatedly. So for more beginner-friendly events, that makes sense. So they don't have to do force withdrawal, but, if you chose to, you could prevent yourself losing points or giving points to your opponent.
Yeah, I don't think the Awesome can eject because he's shut down, but the Fire Javelin definitely can to deny points. He's already given up 10 points because he's in forced withdrawal, and he's taken a -4 to his own score, which he can afford because he's got the +23 cheese modifier. But it is an option that they can both take, or at least the Fire Javelin can take. I think that Awesome is pretty much dead to rights.
Yeah, that Fire Javelin, if it was going to eject, given it has jump jets and the legs are fine, it makes more sense to just jump around the map and be a unit sink.
Definitely, especially if he's still got jump jets, which I think he does.
Or he could just jump behind that AC-2. Oh, no, that's the Min-Shin. I was going to say, you get behind the AC carrier eventually and just kick it.
Yeah, that too. Kicking still fair game. If you've got no arms, you can still kick. Just make sure you make that piloting roll if you miss a kick. Min-Shin moved up a little bit.
It probably can't move much at all because of the mask veil.
Yeah, he did take the hip hit, if I remember correctly, on this particular Min-Shin.
There you go, Fire Javelin saying, I'd like to not die, please.
Yep, jumping his full 6 from the looks of it. And the AC carrier wiggling closer, little by little. He's all the way toward the north end of the map. He started on the south end of the map. He spent basically 6 turns just moving this AC2 carrier. I would have liked to see him try to get up on a sniper perch somewhere and sit there, maybe toward the middle of the map.
Yeah, I think that's a flanking maneuver gone wrong.
Yeah, he just didn't have the running line to get there. Battlemaster moves up, closing in on that Men Shin.
Either that or it's just blocking the path to get behind it, because any units would have to either go through the Battlemaster or up the north and be right in line of sight of the Awesome.
Also true. No jump jets, really, except for the Tarantula on the side of Klint, so his options are limited. I was worried this would happen, and here we are. Jaegermech moving up to a sniper perch, giving him a little bit more line of fire, hopefully. Although
Yeah.
he has been getting some shots off on that Awesome.
The jump jet game can be deadly. Devian had a Victor with an AC-20 just appear behind my commander.
That Victor is ridiculous. It's got a jump 5. It's got the improved jump jets. So it's basically an AC-20 and a medium laser. That is one nasty mech. And it's got a ton of ammo. He can fire that AC-20 with precision ammo every single turn.
I'm not a Victor fan. I think that they're basically expensive hunchbacks, but a city map like this would change my mind.
All right. I think this is going to get interesting real quick. Klint jumped his Tarantula directly in front of the Jaegermech, exposing himself to fire from the Jaegermech, the Awesome, and now the Wolverine that just jumped to be adjacent to it. That Tarantula is one level down from that Jaegermech and the Wolverine in prime head-kicking location. That is very dangerous. Ooh. And the Men Shin OF moves into point-blank range with the Battlemaster. That, sir, is an assault mech, and you are only in a medium mech. I don't know if you're going to win that trade, buddy.
So I've been in what I think that headspace there for Klint is, which is, man, I'm just going to run up and kill something. So I think we may see the Berserk mode being activated.
Yeah, he may be thinking along the lines of, well, the Awesome's done. There's not much I can do. I'm behind. He was up to begin with his plus 23. I'm just going to see if I can get some points, get anything on the board. Maybe he's going to try and chase down that fire javelin with the Tarantula if he survives this turn, which is a big ask. Although he did probably jump for the full 8.
So the macro game is, it doesn't hurt Klint to lose his commander. It just helps Desert in the overall rankings. But when you've got 16 players, one individual match where you're giving the opponent points doesn't matter quite as much.
True, but losing the mech out in general is going to give him -7 points, which is not ideal.
Correct. So I'm rooting for that Tarantula. Get an ammo explosion on that Jaegermech.
Oh, yeah.
Just take them all out.
Yeah, I sure hope he gets something, because he's going to need a miracle to make it out of there alive. He's going to be taking fire from 3 mechs at point blank range. We'll see if that +4 holds up.
The only misplay I think there is, I don't know that Desert needed to get that close. So his PPCs are going to be in +1 to hit now.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He could have just swiveled in place where he was before. If he even needed to swivel, he probably could have just torso twisted and been fine.
He might have had to move up 1, but yeah, I agree.
All right, Ghost moving down south, trying to get into this fight. So far, Desert's had the numbers. He stayed grouped with all of his mechs, and it's paid off for him.
Is that Men Shin firing in another building?
Yeah, I think it's firing at not even at the same hex. Maybe it's the same hex, maybe it's not, but it is firing at another building, trying to make its own path to get into the fight.
Yeah, he's definitely just, I've got weapons, I haven't shot him all game, I'm just going to shoot him now.
Yeah, hopefully he can at least bring that building down and make himself a path. All right, so we know 3 mechs are going to be firing into that Tarantula. Men Shin is going to be trading blows with the Battlemaster. Man, I don't like these trades.
Brave little toaster award goes to that Tarantula.
Oh, yeah. It may only be a toaster by the time this is over.
Well, and, we didn't really call it, but the Thug has an extremely easy shot on the Awesome, so he could have moved up to try to go for a head kick and then, also get a shot on the head, but he doesn't really need to.
No, that's completely unnecessary at this point. You can just take the -4 and core him out in the CT like he just did.
So the Men Shin spends, what's that, like 13 heat to try to shoot at a building. But the Thug, though,
Yeah, the mention doesn't even bring the building down. I think he shot at the wrong building. The Thug, first PPC, 10 damage to center torso, section destroyed, awesome 9Q is done. No engine explosion, which I don't think would have hit anything anyway. Maybe the Battle Master.
the Men Shin returns fire with a snub nose and does 20 damage to the Battle Master, but it's a Battle Master. It hit each torso. It has 18 armor remaining in him.
Jesus. Oh, even if he double tapped, he'd still have 8 armor remaining in one torso. That is a lot of armor. The 8Q whiffs 2 PPCs and a small laser at the Tarantula.
Tarantula doesn't do too much better. ER and a streak 2 does do a through armor crit and takes out one of Sam's PPCs on the awesome, but that's about it.
There we go. Hey, every little thing counts. Something is better than nothing. Granted, the Tarantula needed 5s and he missed one with a 3. Oh man, I know exactly how that feels.
He still has 5 PPCs in play.
Yeah, so you can afford to lose one. Wolverine returning fire onto the Tarantula, nails him, needs 11s, rolls 12. 5 damage to the front left leg, critical, 2 armor remaining. No critical hit on front left leg. Oh, no effect. Okay, so got the 3 armor crit, but no fruit.
Battle Master does some scattering damage on the Men Shin. I might have forced a PSR, but not much of anything, and gets rounded out by the Jaeger mech, needing 10s and 11s, but rolling 7s and below.
Yeah, at least that Men Shin's making a good accounting of itself, nailing him with 20 damage and surviving the point blank, at least so far, in front of that Battle Master.
Battle Master needed a 5, it rolled a 6, so it stays standing there.
There we go. Jaeger mech whiffs across the board, 10s and 11s on the Tarantula. Thank God. Even with precision ammo, he still needed 11s. Ooh.
Well, the Tarantula was going to be the target of that Wolverine and the Jaeger mech. Both of them needed 9s to hit it, rolling 5s and 3s, so it manages to not get his head kicked in here.
Oh man, that is a breath of fresh air for Klint. You definitely don't want to lose your commander to a head kick, especially because it's such a light mech. I think even that Wolverine would have one-shot his head.
Looking up the image here, it's got a total of 9 armor and structure, so yeah, 10 damage from the Wolverine or the Jaeger mech would have done it.
Yep, living dangerously. Let's see. And I don't think the Tarantula can return melee attacks because it's got legs, no feet, or only feet, no hands to punch.
As for you house rule it, giddy up like a pony and, kicks with his front.
That would be cool to see. All right, everything staying pretty neutral. A little bit of heat, up to 2 on the Wolverine, 2 on the Jaeger mech, but everything else is pretty much at 0. Oh, 3 on the Battle Master. Getting into the next turn, Klint wins initiative, so that is definitely a godsend.
So we're at turn 7 here, and they both still have over 60% and 80% of their force. So that's it tells you that this is where the action really starts taking place.
Oh yeah. So first move, the Javelin jumps up for 6, getting to the back left arc of that Men Shin OF. He's not got a lot of movement because he's got that hip and foot actuator crit, so he won't be moving too far this turn.
Do you think he was doing that just to prevent the Men Shin from going backwards? I don't know why he would move there, because he doesn't have a lot of shots firing out of that because of those buildings, unless they're height 1. But at the same time, there's not going to be a lot that Javelin can do.
I mean, the Javelin can still kick, so it can do something, but denying your opponent a nice little alcove to hide in, not a bad play either. It's either that or he hides that Javelin in the corner. At least he's getting some use out of it. A little bit of area denial.
That's true.
Along, the thug moves up into the hex where that poor little awesome 9Q used to be, which means he's got a line of fire on the Menshin's current position.
Pick up the arm and go chase a Minshin with it.
If there's even an arm left. Although there should be. The Menshin OC moves up, I think, all of 2 hexes. That mask failure from earlier definitely hurting him.
Well, if it's a 6-9 mech with a hip and a, actuator hit, I'm not sure on the totals, but that definitely has to reduce its speed.
Yeah, he's probably at a 3-5 at best by now, maybe a little bit more. Awesome moving up to get another line of fire onto that Menshin OF that still hasn't moved. AC2 carrier moving up a little bit more, 3 more hexes closer. Jaegermech backing up, going back to back with the Awesome. Not really looking for any lines of fire here, just covering flanks, protecting his commander's rear arc.
Yeah, I'm not really sure Desert's movement here. He's got to be playing the denial game because, I guess he can't really have the speed to do much maneuvering.
Yeah, and he's moving first, which means that Tarantula, if he saves his move for last, which he should, can go anywhere it wants. And he's just having overlapping fields of fire to deny him any easy rear shots.
So if you were Klint in this situation, what would your strategy be?
Ooh, you're down. You need to get points. I would move that Tarantula last. See what he does with that Wolverine. Hopefully it moves away and you can either take shots onto that Jaegermech, maybe jump to the rear, get to, let me get my pencil out, maybe get to right here and see if you can get some shots on that thug in the rear, because this building should be protecting you from that Awesome. Like you said, that thug only has 10 rear armor, so you need to open something up. Maybe you can get lucky, get a 3 armor crit, get that thug to blow up, because that is an inner sphere mech.
Correct.
Other than that, he just needs to get that Ghost, that Menshin, and that AC2 carrier into this fight. So far, he's been playing with 2 to 3 mechs at a time, while Desert's been bringing all 6 of his to bear almost every turn.
Yeah, this looks like a case of there's just so much line of sight blocking that it's caused a traffic jam.
Oh, the Wolverine jumps to the rear of the Menshin OC, which did not move very far. I wonder if he had a line of sight to him, which he may have with the Javelin, depending on the height of those buildings, or if he had a sensor contact and was just doing an exploratory jump. And the Tarantula jumps for 8 to hide itself behind at least level 1 or 2 terrain. Wants no part of that assault mech party over there.
So something I learned playing Illyrian, if you know there's a mech in a hex, but it hasn't moved yet, and you have jump jets and double blind, you can jump into that square and do an accidental DFA.
You know, I don't know if that's accurate, because I played a test game with Brad and he jumped where I had my mech that had already moved, and he stopped 1 hex short. It did not give him an incidental DFA. It made him, it prevented him from entering the hex and stopped him 1 short. Luckily for him, it wasn't a building hex, because if it was, he would have collapsed and fell through the building with the mech that he had. But it did prevent him from entering the hex, because it's double blind. It may have some tricky rules. Maybe there's an advanced rule where you can do a blind DFA, but I just know from our test match when I played Brad in the city fight that he was not able to jump into my hex. It prevented him from doing it.
Well, we'll probably be doing more double blind now that we know how to and have some experience. So you see me with a jumping mech anytime soon, you'll know what's about to happen.
Yeah, I will say I probably had one of the best lists for this match, because I had a full mask jump jet list. So every single one of my mechs could jump, which played a huge part in my fight against Illyrian in round 3.
Look at this conga line that's going. We've got the Ghost to the Wolverine to the Menshin to the Black Battlemaster.
And it looks like the only one with the rear shot is going to be the Wolverine into the Menshin. The Ghost is going to hit his left arc on the Wolverine, and the Menshin's going to hit front arc on the Battlemaster. The Menshen OF moved a little and has no lines of fire, and he's got his rear facing toward the Battlemaster, but that building should be blocking line of sight. I'm real interested to see if that AC2 carrier has line of fire to that Wolverine. I think he does.
I think he does too, because center of hex to center of the hex, I don't think it overlaps. Even if he didn't, he would on the Battlemaster.
Oh, that's fair. So my terrible line drawing skills say that you are correct, and he does have line of sight to that Wolverine. I want to see him go fishing for crits with that thing. Finally, getting your long-ranged unit into the fight, 7 turns into the match.
Don't worry, we'll just pull from the MRC budget and get you another box of Crayola so you can practice drawing.
Oh, man, I'm going to need it. Hang on, I got another color here. Let's see. All right,
I just picked the white crayon.
Oh, man, they taste like cherry. It's white cherry. All right, these mechs over here to the left, I don't think have line of sight on anything. They're just going to be dunning out their turns shortly. I'm sure the Tarantula is also going to be done here.
Tarantula probably can see well, it might be able to see the Wolverine. It all depends on that height.
Yeah, this might be height 2 minimum here, maybe. I think this one for sure is at least height 2.
Now, am I reading that wrong, or is the Menshen F, it did an arm flip, but it doesn't look like it could do anything with it. It looks like I can just see that tiny little red pit behind him.
Oh, yeah, he was probably looking to see if he could get a line of fire, found out that he didn't, and then hit done. One thing to note, that Javelin does have a weapon still. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's taking a pot shot at that Menshen, so... Okay, he's definitely still in the fight with that fire javelin.
2 medium lasers, and the Menshen's returning fire. So that's the OC. That's the one with 2 large pulse lasers. So that javelin may very well go down this turn.
Is he returning fire? I can't tell. Maybe he is. It's a little too clustered there. I'm looking for the green, but I'm not seeing it.
Oh, no, you're right. He's probably going after the Battlemaster. And, I don't see red yet.
Yeah, it's still early. Let's get into this combat log. Oh, there it is. All right. Server memo disconnected. Oh, don't know what that means.
That was Memo. That was player.
Ah, okay. Nah. All right, let's get into the firing phase. You've already seen those piloting skill rolls earlier. Battlemaster unloading into that Menshen OC needs 4s. Ooh. That's a lot of damage on that poor little 55-ton mech. But I will say he's taking a beating like a champ, not going internal anywhere. Hitting mostly legs, a little bit of right arm, a little bit of center torso. Just a nice spread for the Battlemaster, which is not ideal for him.
Javelin follows up with the 2 medium lasers. Both hit. Both do not go internal. So that Menshen tanks better than I thought it would.
Yeah, for a 55-tonner, he's putting in work. Menshen returning fire needs 2s and a 4 for the ER small. So he's hitting with the 2 large pulse lasers automatically, which is why he decided to fire at the Battlemaster. Understandable. Go for the guaranteed damage. I can't argue with that logic there.
21 damage, so that's PSR.
Yep. Maybe he'll get lucky and he'll tip him over. Only hits the left arm and the left torso. Chipping away at the left torso, down to 9 armor. Maybe that LB carrier can chip away and get some 3 armor crits on him.
Now, the tank is still tanking with a medium laser to its rear center. Still not internal.
Yeah, that Menshen's making a good showing there. I can see why he grabbed him. They might not have the nastiest weapon loadout, but they probably have max armor with how much damage they're taking, either max or close to max. All right, that Ghost finally taking their first shots of the game. Light PPC nailing the Battlemaster in the center torso. 35 armor remaining. That's a long way to go.
Well, and then it's got the MMLs hit along with another light PPC. Now, he chose to fire Infernos to give him +8 heat. At this stage in the game, that might have been the right move if he calculated that he was going to overheat him some, but I'd almost rather him fire regular SRMs to try to get him to 40 so he induces another PSR check.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. At this point, you need mechs off the board, not mechs disabled. Go for broke. Go for those crit chances. You need everyone you can get. AC2 carrier. Oh man, needs 9s opening up onto that Wolverine and whiffs on all 5 of them. Not a good opening salvo for that AC2 carrier. Oh, I take that back. It hits 1.
Yeah, the golden BB was painted silver this turn.
Yeah, bounced off the right torso, that Wolverine. 19 armor remaining, only. Battle Master makes his piloting skill roll. Needs 5, rolls 5. Cutting it close there.
That's all you need.
Klint, 40 damage. Needs to make a piloting skill roll of 9 because he's got the hip actuator and the lower leg actuator. Doesn't make it. Needs a 9, rolls a 5. Falls, takes some damage to the torso and the head. Ooh. So he takes 2 head hits. Yeah, so falls, takes 1 damage, rolls 3 to stay conscious. Must roll 9 to avoid damage. Oh, he takes 1 damage. He takes 1 hit from falling and taking the head hit. That's an automatic pilot hit. And then he takes and he fails his seatbelt check and takes the 2nd. Luckily, he stays conscious, needing a 5 and rolling a 6.
So do you always take a seatbelt check? That's checking to see if you're going to take damage every time you fall. Even if you win, you still have to mark off on the record sheet that you fell and took pilot damage every time you fall, right?
If you make your piloting roll, you don't take the pilot hit.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So that's why it says must roll 9 to avoid damage. He only rolled a 6, so he takes the piloting hit. The head hit is an automatic pilot hit whenever you get nailed in the head from falling, physical damage, or weapon damage.
Can we talk about his name is Mulius Caesar? I've got a sneaking suspicion this is actually a Canopian list.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I didn't catch that there earlier. You might be correct. We'll have to take a closer look at some of these pilot names. And let's get into the physical attack phase. Wolverine needs a 2 for that kick, which means he automatically nails that men's shin. Kits him in the left arm. Only 8 internal structure remaining. No critical.
So he's a level up on that men's shin. We couldn't really see that.
Oh, yeah. No, the men's shin fell. That's right. It's the OC. So he's on the ground.
And the Battle Master follows up with a kick of its own, 17 damage to the right arm. It has internal structure left, but it crits the arm completely off.
Man, that's the 3rd limb completely blown off for Klint this game. That's not good. Sam's getting really good crit rolls here.
Right, and the Ghost is really going desperate, trying to roll 9s instead of 7s on a kick. Punches, it hits the left arm, which is fine, but that probably was the right move to punch there because you're not going to chew through that leg armor, but you might induce a head hit.
Yeah, I would have gone for the kick. I mean, instead of the 9, you need a 7, and you force him to make that pilot skill roll, even though it's only a 4, because he's a skill 4 pilot. But you never know. 3s and 2s do get rolled, as we've seen earlier.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at this heat phase. We've got the Wolverine and Javelin are fine. The Battle Master needs to not explode its Infernos, and it avoids that, luckily.
That's right. I forgot. Maybe rolling for heat with those SRMs was the call. Inferno ammo has a separate heat table that it rolls on. It's not the normal heat table where you roll for normal ammo explosions. Inferno ammo is a little more volatile, and it has to roll for explosion on lower heat levels than regular ammo.
So I'll agree. That probably was the right move on the Infernos then instead of the regulars, but it's also why when I was running my thugs, I only took the regular SRM ammo and tried to dump as much as I could every turn because you do not want to get caught out with an internal ammo explosion because you got too spicy.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to be riding that heat curve too hard on a thug or anything else that's got ammo and no case. All right, let's get into round 8 here. Looks like Klint wins initiative again, so there is little saving grace here for him. He's going to need all the positioning advantage he can get. All right, that means Desert's got to move first. That men's shin is surrounded, and I don't think he has anywhere to go. He could probably stand up and go into climb mode and back into a building, which he shot earlier, which is, not the best look here.
Well, and he's missing an arm, so if he one-arm proned, he's only going to have the small laser.
Yeah, he's going to want to try to stand up, but with that hip and foot actuator taken out, it's not going to be easy. Fire Javelin jumps away for 6, getting out of the fight, going over to the Awesome and the Jaegermech, who are happily sitting on the hill for now.
Yeah, so he's got like 120, 150 tons sitting on that hill away from the main battle.
Yeah, and in his defense, he can afford to not bring all that fire to bear. He's up by a good bit for the time being. And there's nothing but mediums, lights, and an AC2 carrier left.
Yeah, and he can still run them into the fight if needed.
Definitely. Yeah, they haven't moved yet, so they can still maneuver to try and get lines if possible. The Battlemaster moves up, exposing his right side to the rear of the Menshin OF that has not moved yet.
No, he's got his back to a building, it looks like.
Yeah, but he's currently his right side is where the Menshin is in his right arc.
Gotcha.
So if the Menshin turns around maybe and backs up into that forest, he can get some decent shots onto that Battlemaster maybe into the right arc. But he doesn't have very many options where he's at currently, especially because I think he's taken some sort of motive hit on that OF, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, at this point, the Battlemaster and the Jaegermech would be my priority targets just because one of them's hurt and it has ammo. The Jaegermech already started the game as a reliability. So those are that and finishing off the Fire Javelin should be priorities.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He probably doesn't have eyes on the Fire Javelin, so he's going to run his Menshin OF away. Again, he feel like he's been retreating with that particular Menshin all game after the Wolverine jumps to his rear arc where he was before. Not quite completely trapping him in there. Oh, what do we have here?
Exclamation mark.
It looks like the thug walked into a building and fell. So I don't think he was in climb mode. Well, actually, he must have been because the building is still intact from what I gather. So he probably tried to enter the building, failed his piloting check, and somehow fell.
It's okay, thug. Sometimes I walk into glass doors as well.
Yep. Must have been a reinforced glass door there.
So the tarantula jumps into I'm safe and no one can touch me range.
Yep. I don't know if I like that, but I don't hate it either. He's keeping his commander safe.
If nothing else, it may be a ploy to get Desert to break up his formation to try to find that tarantula, which could give him a chance for the ghost to come in and pop something.
Yeah, definitely. If Desert does decide to chase that tarantula, he's going to be pretty much chasing the dragon.
And that's a decent move from the ghost. It's going to have a potential head kick on the Battlemaster. The thug is probably prone. The awesome probably can't see it because of that building. Fire Javelin's already moved. The Wolverine is going to have a really good shot at him, though.
Yep. All right, then maybe the Jaegermech will have line of fire. We'll have to check in the combat log. Right now, we're piloting checks.
Is that a skid I see?
Okay, so let's get into the Menshin first. He tries to get up and falls, takes 5 damage to the center torso, goes internal. Thankfully, no crit, but he fails his seatbelt check for the 3rd total hit. Needs a 7 to stay conscious. Doesn't make it, rolls a 4. He's Menshin. OC is unconscious, blacked out from a failed piloting check trying to stand up. Oh, man.
That's done. That's a Menshin off the board this turn too.
Yeah, that is some bad luck there, Klint. Rolling for mask succeeds this time. doesn't fail the 3 roll, thankfully, like he did earlier with that same Menshin, if I remember correctly. So, and he makes all of his pavement running rolls, needing 3s and 4s across the board. Thug, on the other hand, must make a piloting check while moving in hex 1216, running and turning on pavement. Needs a 4, rolls a 3, falls, and skids into the building from the looks of it.
Good thing it's a thug, so he tanked the damage.
Oh, yeah. He takes... how much damage does he take? 8 damage to the left leg from skidding into the building. The building takes 16 points of damage, only has 3 construction factor remaining. That's close. If he can get a shot on that building for 3 damage, it'll fall on to the thug. So I don't know if Klint knows that. We'll see if he takes advantage of it. And it says Sam suffers 0 damage from the skid, even though he took 8 damage from the building. But okay, I'm not sure what that is about.
Well, incidental. No, not incidental charge. I don't know what's there, but it is always an option to shoot a mech at a building. I think I had to collapse like 3 or 4 buildings on top of Brad's Bandersnatch to kill it. But definitely, if you can, shoot small laser at that building and knock it out.
Yeah, I would love to see him do that if he knows to do that. If he's paying attention to the combat log, he would know there's only 3 health remaining on that little building. And I guarantee you the building falling on that thug will do more than the 5 damage of a medium laser.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome makes all 4 of his piloting rolls running on pavement, only needing 4s. Thankfully, he only rolled a 4, so luckily he's a skill 3 pilot, or skill 4 pilot.
All right. Look, some shooting here.
Here we go. Thug firing at the AC2 carrier of all things, not the target I would have expected. Misses with the 10, only had 1 PPC to bring to bear there. Wolverine misses with 8s on the Ghost with the medium laser and SRM6. So looking good so far for Klint.
Ghost is returning fire with medium laser and some Infernos. Gives it 6 more heat this turn.
There we go. Let's see if he overheats that Battle Master and it blows up from Inferno ammo. That's probably what you're banking on at this point.
Well, he must have fired first because it's in the log, and Sam did not go all out. He only fired an SRM6 and machine gun, so he knew he was going to get heated up this turn.
Ooh, yeah. So that's a good catch there. One thing you need to look out for when you're getting shot at, when Inferno out and any other heat generating weapons are flinging across the battlefield. If they shoot at you and you know that they're using Inferno ammo, you can adjust accordingly and generate as little heat as possible. Machine guns generate no heat, and the SRM6 generates like what, 3 or 4 heat maybe?
Correct.
All right, so that's a good call there from Desert.
So AC2 carrier though, it needs. So here's the thing. The building absorbs like the first 3 damage or the first 7 damage, or is something about if it's a heavy or it's a light building.
It depends on the construction factor of the building and whether or not it's reinforced. So the building basically acts as damage reduction if you're inside of it.
So he probably didn't know that because he was shooting at the mech needing 10s when he could have shot at the building, which is probably an auto hit, or if not, a very easy hit. He still destroyed the building. But...
Yeah, incidentally, he destroyed the building. He would have needed a lot lower targeting numbers to shoot at the building than 10s, because buildings don't dodge.
It must not have been a very big building, because he did destroy the building. It fell. Damage collapsed on top of the thug, but only did 1 damage, so it had to be like a level 1.
Oh, yeah, probably. It's probably like, well, if it was level 1, the thug would have fell through, because it only had 3 construction factor. So he slid into the building, and the building had a total of like 20 construction factor, because he slid into the building for 16 damage, and it only had 3 health left, so...
I wonder if that's why it did all the damage to the leg instead of the full body.
That might be it. Or maybe he just happened to roll leg for the slide.
True.
But only 1 damage for the collapsing building. Okay, so firing the medium laser into that particular building would have not been worth it in this particular case. But incidentally knocking the building over for 1 damage after it absorbs 3 pellets, I guess it's better than nothing. Only 1 damage to the right torso. 23 armor remaining. Long way to go.
You know what I don't see, though? I didn't see anything shoot at the shut down Min-Chen.
Yeah, neither did I. And, I mean, at this point, do you really need to? It's probably enforced withdrawal and out of the fight. Shoot at targets that are shooting back. He can always clean it up later. There's still a lot of game to be played.
That is true.
Although he only has 3 piloting hits, so he will get a roll to wake up next turn, not this turn. All right, initiative for round 9. Desert finally wins with an 11 to Klint's 9. Let's get into the next turn. Skip through here a bit. initiative phase for round 9. And Klint needs to move first. I don't know what you move first here. Other than the Men Shen that's not moving because he's unconscious, of course.
You move the Men Shen, then I don't know. I would be tempted to move the Tarantula, but that Tarantula can still get a pot shot at that Fire Javelin if the placing's right.
Yeah. I would definitely reserve that Tarantula. It's not only your commander, but it's your most mobile mech. You might as well let it do what it's designed to do. There we go. Good. Perfect. That's what you want to see. Men Shen moved first. Good call there, Klint.
Second Men Shen, maybe, or the AC2 carrier somewhere where it's not going to get shot, because the AC2 carrier is basically useless at this point.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's useless. Oh, hey, the thug stood up and stayed in his hex. I'd like to see that AC2 carrier back up to be in short range by like 1 hex, maybe 2 if you can, and unload onto that thug. There's no more construction factor. Maybe you'll get lucky and hit the ammo. That's what you basically need, a Hail Mary at this point.
Either that or on the Battle Master, because he may have an open torso, I forget.
Oh, that is true. The Battle Master has absorbed a good amount of fire. He is exposed somewhere because he's yellow. What moved there? The Fire Javelin. There we go. He's jumping north. He's staying out of the fight, preserving his points and sinking initiative. Not a bad call. And the AC2 carrier, hey, what do you know? He backed up 1 hex. So now he's going to have a Mexican standoff with that thug. Hopefully he'll survive the fire. Although he might. The thug's only got the 2 PPCs and the SRM6s, and the AC2 carrier has 22 armor everywhere.
Well, if you think about it, 2 PPCs, that's 20 damage. You're right there. And he needs 4s, 5s for standing up. He only needs 5s to hit.
Yeah. So he's probably going to nail him with both PPCs, but it's not enough to penetrate unless he gets some SRM6s. But if he's shooting at the AC2 carrier, that means he's not shooting at the Men Shen.
It's true.
Who moves next? What is it? Oh. Wait, did anything move? Oh.
Yeah, the Wolverine jumped to... Why did it move that way? Oh, it's a kick the AC2 carrier.
Yeah, he's getting into melee range. The AC2 carrier is not going to want to fire at that Wolverine because he's within his minimum range. I'm pretty sure LBX2s have a minimum. Maybe they don't.
Maybe they do, but even if they don't,
there's a juicier target in front of you if you're going to go crit fishing.
Correct. Plus, that Wolverine jumping means it's already got a slight TMM. The thug doesn't.
True. Very true.
The Battle Master is the real prize.
Also very true. Tarantula jumps back behind cover. I think he's out of the fight again, unless that Battle Master can get up on the hill or around the corner to get some line of fire on him. But not utilizing him or reserving him till the end, waiting to see where the Battle Master and Awesome move before he moves his Ghost and his Men Shen. Desert does get last move, so that means he can move the Jaeger mech to kill some more initiative, maybe move the Jaeger mech to get into firing position on that AC2 carrier. Although he's not fast, and there's a elevation change in the way, and pavement.
I'd like to see Desert's Awesome walk up just to kick the Men Shen, though.
Yeah, that would be a fitting execution. Or just walk up and put 3 PPCs in his face. Battle Master backs up, so he's not in kicking range of the Ghost currently. He may be baiting that Ghost to come chase him. If the
Either
Ghost...
that or he thinks he's got a shot on the Tarant. No, there's probably too much elevation there.
Yeah, I don't think he can see that Tarantula, regardless. I would like to see that Ghost either chase that Battle Master, get up into Hex 15-18 and go for another head kick. Or back up and go for a head kick on that Wolverine, maybe. But he'd be generating no TMM there, and he's in line of fire for that Battle Master.
Yeah, it's not a lot of good moves for that Ghost.
No, that's one thing I learned. If you put yourself up on a perch, it's hard to get down.
I've lost many Novacats getting on a perch and then can't escape.
That's funny you mentioned Novacat. That's exactly what I had got on a perch with. The Ghost decides to run to the hills, literally, and hides behind a hill. No fire coming toward it. I mean, and there's the Awesome moving up. I'm assuming that Awesome's going to unload in the AC2 carrier and just kick the Mention to death. So again, Desert's got 1, 2, 3 mechs that all have line of fire to only one of Klint's units. He's definitely coming out on top of these trades with better positioning. Granted, he does have 2 mechs that can jump, but he's got some slow assaults, so I can only, sing the praises of jumping mechs so much when the rest of the mechs are just walking into position.
Yeah, the maneuvering game is strong there.
Again, the other Mention OF hiding behind a hill as well. Maybe the Awesome has a line of sight to him, but still, he's going to take the easy shots and probably just annihilate that AC2 carrier this turn.
Well, if he can take those out, he may max out on combat score. Well, no, he could still lose something, but he's pretty close to maxing combat score.
Yeah, he's already got the Awesome. There's the Battlemaster unloading onto the Mention, probably his only shot this turn. So we'll see how bad that Mention gets shot up. -4 for being unconscious to shoot at it. There's the Thug unloading into the AC2 carrier.
Oh, Tarantula. Do it, Tarantula.
Go for broke. Nail that Battlemaster. So he did have line of fire to the Tarantula, and he chose to instead execute the Mention for the easy points. Not a bad call. Although I'm kind of a gambling man, I would have gone. Maybe he had 13s or something on the Tarantula, but I would have shot at the Tarantula if I had 12s. The Mention's not going anywhere.
Well, that's going to be the commander, so cool. You max your combat score, but this is potentially one of the best shots you would get at the commander because he can just start jumping around the map, kiting if he wanted.
Oh yeah, that Tarantula decides he doesn't want any part of this, and he's all the way in the corner in 2 turns. There's nothing he can do to catch him. He'll be literally chasing the dragon for the rest of the game. AC2 carrier returning fire on what looks like... we'll find out in the combat log, apparently. Speaking of which, let's pull it up. All right. Battlemaster unloading into the Mention. Needs 4s across the board. Hits with almost everything. Misses with 1 medium laser. And the Mention is not internal anywhere.
Wow, that I'll have to ask Lee Enfield about this Mention because I know he plays it, and that is just a tank.
It's gotta have max armor for a 55-tonner. There's no way it doesn't.
Now, awesome though. It lights up the AC2 carrier and gets a chance for a motive hit, but as you said, it's got a lot of armor and it just tanks it.
Yep, he hits 2 different locations currently, and the small laser hits as well on the Mention, mind you. Still not internal on the Mention, and no motive hit on the AC2 carrier. So far, he's coming out all right. Tarantula needs 11s on the Battlemaster. Maybe that's why the Battlemaster didn't shoot. The shots were impossible. Whiffs across the board for the Tarantula.
Well, and looks like the Thug here got some crew stun and injured the driver on the AC2 carrier with some SRMs and that PPC, and follow up with the Wolverine on the same AC2 carrier, -1 MP. That severely hampers any chance he has at a TMM. Doesn't destroy it though, but he does go internal with that medium laser.
Yep. Driver is injured. I don't know if that's going to give him even more penalty on piloting checks, but I highly doubt that AC2 carrier is going anywhere next turn. Return fire for the AC2 carrier. Nails the Awesome in the head. I think that's his first hit on Sam's commander. But he just peppers the Awesome. Nothing going internal. Only 1 head hit to show for it.
Oh, but the Jaeger mech comes in clutch here.
Oh, he was able to come around and get the side arc onto the AC2 carrier. Nails
armor crit.
Nails the engine on a through armor crit. Engine destroyed, immobile. Critical hit right side, crew stun for 2 turns. Critical hit right side, crew stun for 3 turns. Okay, that's as good as dead.
Well, quite literally, because we're in the physical attack phase, and the Wolverine decides that it's just going to put a foot through the top of that AC2 carrier.
Yep, there it is. Left leg, 7 damage on the front right. Critical, takes 11 damage on the front right. Section destroyed. That's it. That's all she wrote for that poor little AC2 carrier. This was a tough map for it, and it showed. It got, what, 3 shots off all game? Maybe 2?
Yeah, it was out of position. It probably didn't have the elevation to do much. It was slow, and it was unfortunate for here. I think it'll come in handy for the VTOL match, but this one it struggled with.
Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, this little AC-2 carrier is probably going to destroy those helicopters. But
But
that's not...
mention -3 it needs to hit, and what does it do?
Rolls a 6 and hits the left leg, takes 16 damage, 2 armor remaining. Mention is still intact, not even internal anywhere from what I can tell. Good lord, that thing is taking a beating and coming out smelling like roses.
That's when you find out the Minshin has some sort of secret regeneration abilities or something.
Yeah, what is that? Hard gel or something?
Yeah, self-healing armor.
All right, Wolverine's at 3 heat. Everything else is at 0 except for the Jaeger mech sitting at 1. But that 1 heat was well worth it. All right, one little saving grace coming into it. Klint, Mulius Caesar needs a 7 to wake up, rolls an 8. So he's got his mention OC back into the game this turn.
Oh, good. That small laser it can shoot because the other arm's gone and it's taken all his other hits will come in handy now.
Hey, you can at least catch some bullets for the rest of his units. All right, let's get into the movement.
Yeah, I guess +4 to hit now is going to be handy.
Yeah, I mean, something's better than nothing. All right, we're into movement for this next turn. Fire Javelin jumps. It looks like Klint won initiative again. And
he's playing keep away that fire javelin.
Yeah, staying out of lines of fire, but hopping around, generating a TMM. It looks like he's got to move 2 units because he outnumbers Klint by 6 to 4.
This is where front-loaded initiative comes in handy so that the person who's outnumbered doesn't just get double backstabbed. It's just one mech.
Yep, and the Battlemaster moves up onto the hill. He's in prime shooting position for that Minshin. Let's see if the OC that just woke up can back up that hill or something and get out of dodge.
It can turn.
No, he failed his piloting check to get up. He just pivoted in place. You can see he's still prone. And he's going to leave it there. I don't blame him. Probably needed like 7s or something to make that piloting check.
They have small laser on the Battlemaster. Like we said, he's damaged somewhere.
I'd say to hell with it. Go for the awesome. Maybe you'll get a 3 armor crit. Triple engine hit him at this point. You need a Hail Mary. It's Desert's turn to move again. Let's see what he decides to do.
Bug goes exploring for the Minshin and the ghosts. It's like, that's like when you just show up at the party unannounced and everybody starts running.
Yep, definitely finds him. The Minshin and the ghost haven't moved yet. Maybe they'll turn on him to try and get some points. Jaeger mech moves up. Doesn't have line of fire to anything, I think, from where it's currently at.
I think he's just trying to bracket the potential tarantula movement.
Yeah, entirely possible. Keeping his back to a building as well, preventing any backstabbing and one-shots from lucky shots from the tarantula. It is currently Klint's turn to move, and he moves the Minshin OF into the left side arc of that thug. Finally, getting some shots off onto something.
Yep, that awesome can just run into those woods if it wanted to, but not the best shot if it does.
Not to mention running on pavement, so maybe he'll just walk adjacent to those woods to play it safe. Sam does need to move 2, maybe 1 more mech, actually, now that I think about it.
Oh, Wolverine jumped into the woods.
Oh, okay, so Awesome's definitely not going there, but the Wolverine's not going to tango with that Minshin. Apparently the Battlemaster's enough to put him out of his misery.
Yeah, I guess the awesome can just stay there and kick the Minshin.
Also true, he is prone, and he's got to be running low on armor. Oh, never mind. The awesome moves up. Looks like he's trying to get some lines of fire onto the Minshin and maybe the ghost. Tarantula jumps to the north, and what does he find? A javelin in his sights.
Ooh.
Maybe he can get a little cheeky kill on that javelin.
I didn't even see the tarantula move. It just vanished, so good catch.
Yeah, that 8 jump is a fast little bugger. Last unit to move is going to be the ghost. Looks like, yep, there it is. Needed a 7. Rolls only a 5, so that Minshin falls and luckily doesn't take any more piloting hits. Trying to stand anyway. All right, Ghost looks like he's running. I don't know if I agree with that move. You don't have line of fire on anything unless those buildings are shorter than the hill you're standing on. You need to get that Ghost to throw some damage out. You need to get on the board with some kill points. As it stands now, you're negative. You've only got 10 points from that fire javelin being enforced withdrawal.
So if he can take out that fire javelin, that's 20 at least adds to it. Battle Master still got armor, but it's hit. And that Jaeger-mech is playing the, can't touch this game with his rear armor. So yeah, it's this. I don't envy being in this spot.
No, it's a tough call, but I think you just need to try to get some points because you're already negative as is.
Wonder if that Ghost is trying to get itself ready for a rear shot on the Battle Master next turn.
Maybe, but all the armor is opened up in the front, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but Call of the Backside is definitely tempting.
Yep, let's get into the combat log. There's the piloting skills, there's the tag for style points, and the fire javelin nails the tarantula. Armor destroyed on the front left leg, 3 internal structure remaining. Luckily, he only hits with 1 medium laser on those 10s.
The Minshin fires that small laser, but didn't do squat.
Missed it by 1. Thug returns fire onto the Minshin OF, hits him with 1 SRM4. He's got 4 more heat on that Minshin.
Well, and is that the Minshin that's on the... No, that's the fresh Minshin.
Yeah, or, well, close to fresh. He's got some damage. But he's not the one that knocked out and took a beating.
That Minshin in return does a snub nose to the leg of the Thug. Doesn't really do much else there.
Yep, no piloting check for that Thug. Wolverine unloads into the Minshin OF, nails him with a medium laser. 5 damage to the right torso, only 5 armor remaining.
Oh, look at this Tarantula. I was really rooting for it. Needs 8s, rolls a 4, 7, and 7 on a mediums and a streak 2. So it had a very close chance of popping that fire javelin, but just couldn't connect.
Yep, hate to see it.
You know who did connect though?
That Battle Master. Ooh, let's see. Does that Minshin go internal anywhere? It does go internal, but no critical hits coming to fruition. Minshin OC is still in this game, surprisingly.
And the Ghost decides that it just didn't want to hit anything this turn either.
Oh man, needing 9s and 7s and missing all 4 of them. He did have line of fire to that Battle Master, which might have been rear arc. So at least he was firing with it this turn. Into the physical phase, Minshin kicks the Thug, nails him for 11 damage, only 4 armor remaining in that left leg. And the Thug misses his punch on the Minshin in retaliation. He makes his piloting check, so the Thug is still standing.
Not much of anything to note on the heat phase. Everybody's just sinking.
Yup, and initiative phase, Desert wins again. So Klint, already on the back foot, has to make up for it by moving first. Speaking of which, he'll move that Minshin that's in forced withdrawal and prone first. Good call. Next move is the Jaeger-mech, moving up, covering lines of fire there into the rear arc of the Minshin OF currently.
Come on, Tarantula. You can get that javelin.
Yeah, I really hope he chases that tarantula. Or that tarantula chases that javelin.
You know what else could happen? It would be exposing himself to an arm flip, but that tarantula has a decent chance of hitting the back of that Jaeger-mech as well now.
Definitely true. If he can, yeah, he should be able to see him. Wolverine jumps into melee into the rear of the Minshin OC, who's currently prone. Probably going to give him the coup de grace this turn.
That's a good thing as well, because if he does move the tarantula to get a rear shot, almost all the hexes he can move to, the Wolverine would have a line of sight.
Yeah, I agree. That's good that for Klint that Wolverine jumped when it did. Although I would be afraid of that awesome running up into melee range of that tarantula.
True.
The Ghost comes down off the hill, not only 2 hexes away from that Thug. I'd like to see that Thug just walk up and bop him one. And the fire javelin jumps away, dangling the carrot, as we say, getting close to that awesome and that Battle Master, daring the tarantula to chase him.
I'm waiting to see where that Minshin F goes, because it's got 2 snub nose, so it can do some decent damage.
Yeah, with the targeting computer, he's gonna have decent shots. The battle master actually moves up to cover the fire javelin adjacent to him, so he's closer to the tarantula than the fire javelin is currently. So he can't get a rear shot on the fire javelin.
And this is when we call out that there's no line of sight blocking. You can see through mechs, so if he wanted to, the tarantula could still see the fire javelin, even though there's a battle master in front of him.
Yeah, but I would not jump in front of that battle master.
No, that battle master has been brutal all game.
Oh, here we go. The mention OF moves into melee range of that Wolverine. He's right above him in point blank range, so he might be able to get the kick on him. Although that is dangerous because that awesome could just back up that hill and get rear arc on you.
I would trade it because you got snub nose with a targeting computer. You have a damaged javelin there. You know you're going to lose on the combat score. He can't earn any more points. He may as well.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. He either goes for the rear arc on the Battlemaster or front arc on the Javelin, whichever one's got the better shots and the least amount of armor. And the awesome moves up for what, 4 or 5? Does a full straight run, doesn't turn. Gives him rear arc shots, though, I think.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know about that move. He doesn't have any lines of fire on anything. I think he's got this one in the bag and just kind of keeping his awesome safe as much as possible.
Was he trying to tempt the tarantula to jump behind the awesome for a rear shot so he could get kicked by the Jaeger and smacked by the battle?
Entirely possible. He doesn't take the bait and just jumps the tarantula out of range behind another building. A little bit closer to the action, but still not in anywhere near firing position. There we go. Fire javelin firing at the mention OC. Mention OF hasn't picked its target.
Nah, I think I saw a line from it on top to the fire javelin.
Okay. No, I think you're right. I think I saw that too, and then the battle master covered up. All right, let's get into the combat log here.
There's a red flag warning happening in this attack phase.
Ooh, there we go. Wolverine finally goes internal on that mention OC engine crit. Goes internal on the right torso. Left arm section destroyed.
One thing I didn't see, that mention OC, did that stand up?
Did it? Oh man, maybe it did.
Yeah, how else could it fire that laser? So it was able to take a pot shot at the Wolverine.
Oh, hey, good call. Must have used careful stand.
But no, you're right. Engine hit from the Wolverine to that same mention, fire javelin, same mention, destroys the left arm and transfers to the rear torso. But the mention F, what I was really rooting on, it did get a through armor crit on the leg of the fire javelin, but it still had armor and that crit did nothing.
Yeah, you needed to hit one of the torsos to go internal and nail the CT. Oh man, I mean you hit, but you didn't really because you got no real results out of it.
Correct.
Battlemaster pummeling into that mention OF hits him in the head. 4 armor remaining. That's his first pilot hit.
Yep. So pilot Catrick Kell.
Oh yeah, he must be Canopus.
This should be
or a Canopian mercenary unit. Thug opening up onto the mention OF as well, nailing him in the CT for 10 damage on that PPC. 16 armor remaining. Second PPC nails him in the left arm. 4 internal structure remaining.
That's a PSR.
Yep. And mention OF getting some hate from the Jaeger mech as well. Precision ammo nails him from the AC5. 0 armor remaining on the right torso and 18 armor remaining in the left torso after that. A lot of misses there for that Jaeger mech. 3 out of 5, I think.
And the Wolverine gives a kick to the mention, but again, it's a mention, so apparently it doesn't go internal.
Good lord, man. This thing is taking a beating. And it's still alive. Barely, but still there. And he succeeds on his piloting roll, even with all those penalties for the hip and leg actuator.
I think there's an internet joke about a song called Still Alive.
Right? Oh, man. Okay, except this is no joke. All right, Klint wins initiative this round. A little bit of fresh air for him. Some breathing room. Let's see how this goes. Battlemaster moving up. Fire Javelin jumping around, Tarantula jumping around. I think they're just not firing at each other for the most part. Awesome moving up. Looks like he's hunting for that Tarantula that's giving him the slip.
I think you're right, because he's probably thinking the tarantula's going to run into that top corner, not realizing that he's already behind him.
Yeah, he's got no active probe, so once that Tarantula loses line of sight, it's going to be real hard to find him. Thug moves up, gives a clean shot on his rear with the ghost, or for the ghost.
And he may not have known he was there.
Yeah, maybe not. Although he hasn't moved the ghost yet, so he should have known he was there.
True, but now the ghost has a chance of getting, like you said, rear armor shot there, or rear armor shot on the Jaeger mech is really what I would take.
Yeah, okay. Menshin moves up to get left side arc on the Jaeger mech, and the Wolverine jumps up to get right side arc on the Menshin OF, and Ghost moves up for some reason to get left side arc on the Jaeger mech as well. I don't know. He's going for the easy target, I guess. Not a lot of armor on that Jaeger mech.
He's trying to avoid the return fire from the Thug.
Yeah, 2 buildings in the way, although he could have gone to the rear and avoided the return fire from the Thug as well. Unless that Thug can arm flip.
It has hands, so I don't think it can, but it can twist and shoot a PPC at him.
Gotcha. All right, let's get into the firing.
That Menshin OC was still alive at the end of that movement phase.
Yeah, somehow. Weapon attack phase, Menshin OF, Snubnose PPC, goes internal on the left arm of the Jaeger mech. You want to hit that torso, though. Hits the right torso as well. 3 armor remaining.
In return, the Wolverine hits that Menshin, but only with a medium laser.
Yeah, nothing to write home about. 13 armor remaining on the left torso for the Menshin OF. Menshin OF takes some damage from that Jaeger mech. Point blank, only hits with 1 medium laser. The AC5s and AC2s miss due to point blank penalties.
That Ghost is angry, though, because it's it got some good, looks like maybe SRM hits with that MML.
Yeah.
And critted out an AC5 on the left arm of the Jaeger mech.
There we go. Now we're talking. You would have preferred to see him crit the ammo, but, I mean, you'll take what you can get at this point. And Jaeger mech stays standing into physical attack phase. Wolverine kicks the Menshin OF. 1 internal restructure remaining on that right leg. Menshin OF kicks the Jaeger mech. Critical hit roll, limb blown off. So that Jaeger mech is falling to the floor. And the Ghost kicks the Wolverine, but he misses. Jaeger mech falls, takes internal section destroyed on the left arm. 2 damage, took it out. So there goes half of his weapons. And he fails a seatbelt check to take a pilot hit.
So that Jaeger mech's on the floor. Assuming the Ghost doesn't die, he has a good chance of finishing him off.
Definitely. He's not going to be moving very far, if at all, missing a leg. Round 13, it looks like Sam wins initiative this time. Let's hurry up and get into it. It looks like...
Well, round 12. I don't think I've seen many of the matches this tournament go to round 15, but they may do it this time.
Yeah, I think this one's going to go the distance, unless there's some... unless Klint loses 2 mechs this turn, he might drop under 20% battle value, which I don't think he will unless he finally puts that Menshin OC out of his misery. That thing has been zombieing around for far longer than I expected it to.
Well, it fell somewhere. I don't know if that was a skid, but it's on the floor next to those woods that Wolverine was at a little bit ago.
Yeah, he definitely got up and ran from the looks of it. Must have been failed piloting check from running on concrete and turning. Jaeger mech looks like it fails its piloting roll or just turns around, one or the other, because he's moved and that's about it. Battlemaster moves up on the hunt for the elusive tarantula on the other side of the map. He's looking for those 50 points for killing the commander. Javelin starts to jump in the direction of the tarantula.
Well, no, that's the Menshin went to get a rear shot on the Battlemaster there, and the Javelin followed.
Good call. I didn't even notice that Menshin moved up. Yeah. He's going for the rear arc in the Menshin. Maybe he can get a cheeky shot and take him out. Tarantula jumps up again, still behind building cover.
And the thug, who can do 16 points on a kick, is now next to that prone Min-Shin.
Yep, maybe finally round 13 that mentioned OC will go down. 7 rounds after we thought it would originally. And
Ghost coming up to the fire javelin to try to get at least 20 points.
Yep, getting anything on the board. I assume that Wolverine's gonna continue the conga line though.
So I think the way he placed that awesome, he can torso twist and shoot all of his PPCs, both of them, because he's got one critted out on that Min-Shin.
Oh, maybe. Depending on elevation, he might have a clean shot on him.
Oh, you're right. The elevation might block it there.
Yep, there's the lines of fire.
You know what I don't see, though? That Jaeger mech, it's got so much ammo. Finish him.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him take him out. But he's going for what he thinks is the easy points or safer points. Let's get into that combat log.
And we can never criticize too harshly because we're not there in the heat of the moment with all that pressure, and that is a lot of pressure on Klint right now.
Oh no, look at that. The Min-Shin falls, fails his seatbelt check, needed a 7, rolled a 4, and he blacks out again from taking 4 total pilot hits. Needed a 10 to stay conscious there, only rolled a 4.
We're going to hang one of those sleep masks inside that Min-Shin's cockpit because it likes to go blacking out.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to survive this turn. Weapon attack phase. The Wolverine unloads into the Ghost, not really finding anything of value. Left arm doubled up with medium lasers. Still 6 armor remaining there.
Javelin tries to go after the Ghost, but it's misses everything there. Ghost lives up to its name. Yep. I don't think the stealth armor affects short range, though, so he might be activating stealth for heat, but not actually getting any benefit from it right now.
Or just not activating it. I haven't seen him go over on the heat curve, so
true.
We'll have to check. Snub nose for the Min-Shin OF. Both nail the Javelin. They don't hit the torsos, though. Take out the right leg. Section destroyed from 10 damage. Actually, no, the first one missed, sorry. But the second PPC does take out the right leg. Section destroyed.
Well, I didn't think a Javelin could tank, but apparently. And there it is. But the Battle Master tries to go for that snub-nosed Min-Shin and manages to take out the left arm.
Ooh, there goes half of his damage.
Oh, and the right arm loses all its armor, so it's running out of weapons fast.
Yep, and then here's the thug putting that poor Min-Shin OC out of its misery about 7 turns after we thought it would go down. Destroyed by engine destruction.
And it needed a 10 to stack pole. It rolled a 9, so it was very close.
Oh, not quite. All right, Javelin's gonna fall because he's got no leg. Automatic fall. Takes a piloting hit on his way down.
Well, and that leaves him right in front of the Ghost, which decides to kick and blows out the left torso. So he's missing his left torso and his right torso, and he's got an engine crit, and he's missing a leg. Yeah, finish that Javelin off, please.
Yeah, I mean, he can only be in force withdrawal so much, All right, we're getting into round 14 here. This one is going the distance from the looks of it. Let's hurry up and get to the action. We're in the closing arguments of this debate. Fire Javelin cannot move, so does not move. Jaegermech doesn't bother trying to stand up from the looks of it.
And what's even left? We've got that Min-Shin OF. We've got the Tarantula, which ran to protect itself.
Yep, just jumped up to the top left corner. He's probably safe there because I don't think that Wolverine's going to be chasing him or can even get there if he wanted to.
Yeah, so this would be I'm going to say low scoring match. It's going to be high on the combat and wins, but without any objective points. That's 50 points both players can't achieve.
Exactly. So he's going to be at max like 70 if he maxes out combat. Well, 93 with his chi score. Thug moving up to the hill to get some lines of fire. Battle Master looks like he's staying still. Min-Shin hasn't moved, neither has the Ghost. Min-Shin OF moves up to the Awesome, but that Awesome has not moved yet. I don't think that was the play.
At this point, be aggressive.
Yep, there's the Awesome. Backs up for 3 or 4 hexes. I don't know if he's got line of fire on him anymore. Maybe he can get that Ghost into firing position. Going for broke.
You could stand the Ghost still just to make sure you had a very good shot on the Javelin.
Also true. That Ghost looks like he was pretty trapped. Never mind. He decides to go over or around a building. I'm not sure how he made it through there, actually.
He ghosted.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or he found out where the climb button was, one of the two.
Yeah, no. Also true. All right, Men Shin exchanging fire with the awesome. The Ghost hightailing it out of there, not turning around to finish that javelin. Thug deciding to take his frustration out on a building.
There's a Super Nintendo game about smashing buildings.
Yep. And the Battle Master using those rear medium lasers. Let's see if he can nail that Men Shin OC.
All right, so let's pull up the game log, and it looks like the Awesome may have gotten one PPC on the mention,
Yep.
but nothing else. Mention returns a PPC. Thug, I didn't know that Infernos could do damage to buildings, but apparently they can.
Oh, yeah, I guess they count as like a... They don't track heat, so I guess Infernos deal damage to them. It makes sense to me.
Battle Master whiffs, and the Wolverine finishes it out by continuing to shoot a building and taking one down.
All right, one building destroyed. Style points.
Rampage. That's the name of the game I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah, that's right, with all those big kaiju-looking creatures. Okay, round 15. This one's for all the marbles. Sam wins initiative. This match is going the distance. All right, let's see what the calls are. Whoa, that tarantula jumped somewhere. It looks like he jumped for 8 to try and hide again. I don't think anybody can get to him, so that's 50 points off the board for Desert. The Ghost is running, trying to deny points at this point, I guess.
Well, he can deny points. Mention should go finish off the battle, or not the Battle Master, the Javelin. Sure, you'll lose 7, but you'll gain 20, so you'll be up 13 if you can.
Nope, he decides to run with the Men Shin, hides behind some buildings. I think that's going to be it. There's probably not even going to be firing in this last round.
I think you're right.
Yep, there it is. There's no lines of fire to be had. I think that is game. Let's fast forward through this. Yep, just a lot of buildings being shot. I do believe, yep, there it is. That is the end of the game. So surviving on the board, we've got the Wolverine, the Javelin, the Battle Master, the Awesome, the Thug, and the Jaeger mech. So Desert comes away with his full squad intact with just the Javelin force withdrawal.
Well, and returning, we've got one of the mentions, the Tarantula and the Ghost, surviving on Klint's side.
Correct. So he does keep 3 mechs on the field, but no kills. So he's going to end up with a negative combat modifier because he lost 3 of his 6 mechs.
So I think those mentions, both of them, shouldn't have survived that long. That Fire Javelin should have, taken a lot more hits to critical areas and gotten popped off. And that Jaeger mech is just lucky.
Oh, yeah. That Jaeger mech got real lucky. The Tarantula stayed out of the fight for the most part. He did get a few cheeky shots in here and there, but he did what he was supposed to do, and he survived. The Ghost, I feel like Klint didn't really have the strategy for this particular match. His mechs were at disadvantage because they're fast, but they can't jump, and they've got constricted moving lanes that are all paved. So he's got to make a ton of piloting skill rolls to get anywhere. And it's just too risky to run and use your speed to your advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, despite having excellent names, we got Katrina Steiner in the Ghost and Catalina Paws in the Tarantula. Realistically, the problem here was, I think he did a good move at the start of the match by putting a mech in each of the major firing lanes down the middle and sides of the map. But then that long turning maneuver where he just kind of got bogged down in the buildings, where Sam could focus his heavy machinery to really pressure and bully that Awesome. He was playing catch up all game after that point.
Yeah, I would have definitely liked to see Klint just keep all of his mechs together and along with that AC2 carrier and go to the center of the map and use his probes to his advantage and just chase the pings. Once he noticed that all of Desert's mechs were on the same area of the map, I think he spent a little too much time sweeping northeast with his Ghost and his AC2 carrier and the other men shin. He should have turned them around immediately and got to the fight. That whole match, Desert had Klint outnumbered at every turn, which should not be the case when you're running 3 assault mechs.
Right, and this is where play styles come important too. So Klint may be more of a defensive player who was trying to spread out in order to keep a net wide, and there's no long range shots to be had here. But as I mentioned earlier, I've seen Sam throw his gargoyle face first with all that armor right in front of the enemy, and look what he did with all this heavy armor he had to play with.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely, brutal all the way around. Oh, hey, and I was disconnected.
You've been disconnected from the server.
Imagine that. Well, I want to say that this was just David versus Goliath, and Goliath came out on top this time. You can't always get lucky and get that through armor crit on the head.
Now, I don't know about your match, but I know Vapor had mentioned that when I played Deviant, we were pretty much the only ones that killed each other's commanders. So I think all the other matches were pretty defensive like this.
Yeah, my match against Illyrian was a brawl, let me tell you, but unfortunately I got the upper hand because every single one of my mechs could jump. And I had 5 active probes, so I knew where he was at every point in the match. So he decided to just take the fight to me and expose himself, and I took advantage of it and got an early lead. I got his commander down prone round 1, which he had an awesome, I think, as his commander. But enough about my match. Closing thoughts on this match. I like that he spread out initially to try and get scans out to find where the opponents are, but I don't like how long he spent lingering up in this northern section of the map. I've never mentioned that before, but I want to feel, I can only say that that's why he lost the match. He was outnumbered at every turn when he really shouldn't have been, at least for that long.
Yeah, I think, again, hindsight 2020, Sam did a really good job keeping his backs to buildings, especially the Jaeger mech. But if Klint was able to use the speed of those mentions to get into rear shots, knowing where the enemy was when the enemy didn't know where you were, maybe using the mentions more like initiative darlings, even using the tarantula to an extent, which would be a risk, but you're jumping. If you got, what was it, gunnery 2 on that thing, which you didn't, but shooting.
Gunnery 2, piloting 3. I would have liked to see him use it a little more riskier, maybe. I mean, especially once he was behind.
Oh yeah, but I think that was a missed opportunity. Was just more rear shots, and finishing off mechs that were down.
One thing to note, the battle moved from 3 different locations. It started off right around here, and then it transferred to right around here, and it ended up right around here. It was fairly mobile for a brawl. It didn't just stay in one zone and play itself out.
Oh no, agreed completely. And by the end of this, if the objective is keep your commander alive, both players did that, so that's a win there.
Yep, I agree there. Mission accomplished, although one side did take more losses than the other.
And some of that will come with playing more city map and more double blind, because I think some of the other mistakes we saw were, smashing into buildings instead of going, climb mode and through them. And those are things that it's going to be frustrating when it happens, and you just have to play more of them to remember that.
Yeah, learning the rules is can be painful, especially when you walk into or on top of a building and have it collapse under you when you didn't intend to do that. Mega Mech is kind of an arcane program. If you don't know where to click to do what you want, you're going to mess up. And walking into a building or walking onto a building and having it collapse under you is the results of not knowing how the mechanics function. It's a good idea to get some practice in, especially when you're dealing with new mechanics like double blind and buildings, if you've never seen them before. That way you can make your mistakes in a practice game, and then you know what to do in the real game. You know what buttons to press, you know how the mechanics work.
But this is also just a fun tournament. So, there's no grand prize involved. Nobody's winning a trip to Hawaii, but it definitely was fun to see them playing out this match and learning.
Yeah, so I think Desert is going to max out on combat score. He had -4 for losing his javelin, but he had a total of 60 for destroying 3 units. So he's going to be sitting at 73 points before the extra 20 for the win. So, whoops, that's a 73. So
Yeah,
he'll be at 93 total.
it's MRC. We can't math.
No, we don't do that here.
Yeah. On the flip side, you've got Klint, who, how many mechs did he lose? 3?
Yeah, he lost 3, so he's going to be at, what is that, -21?
Yeah, it's going to be a -21, but he'll be up 10 for putting the javelin in force withdrawal. So I think that ends him at -11.
Yeah, so he's going to slip a little in combat score, but it's round 3. He can still try to make up some score in round 4. Round 4 is a zero-sum game match. It's not like you can both end with 100 points next round. Every helicopter you lose next round is going to deduct 5 points from your maximum possible score.
And on top of that, this is, even though it's negative, people are going to get negative scores in a tournament. So it's not like a negative is a horrible thing. It's just a unfortunate thing, but it's not by any means like bad. I've gotten negative scores on matches before.
Yeah, the fact he's only -11 is actually fairly decent, considering the maximum possible is -25.
And by the time you add 10 for rank, that only puts him at -1.
Correct. So he really only lost 1 point in the overall rankings, which is recoverable. He still has a chance to at least make it to the middle of the pack if he performs well in the last match. But overall, I think it was a pretty good game. Both players were playing the positioning game, maybe a little too defensive for my taste, especially on Klint's end because he was behind. I would have liked to see him just throw some of his mechs away, but because he played so conservatively, he ended up with only -1, where my dumbass would have ended up with like -20. So,
because you can lose 25 on combat score. Yeah, you could easily have gone even further.
yeah, he could have slipped in the rankings a bit more. So, well played, and I respect the calls to conserve your points. So, I'd like to thank Sam, DesertDream, and Klint for letting me record the game and letting me and Pirate go over it. That way we can all learn some hard lessons like I did in round 4.
Ooh, that was brutal for me as well.
Yep, I think we both had a helicopter skid off the edge of the map, but that's going to be a story for later, probably next week, as we go over round 4 next week. We won't be going in double blind, so hopefully we'll be a little more efficient with the cast, and it won't be so long. We'll see if the game goes to 15 rounds like this one did. Any closing arguments, Pirate?
Nope, just that even though the score differential here would say one thing, I do think that was a good game worth playing. So I'm excited to see how everybody else shakes out.
Yeah, well played, both players. Good game. And remember, we're here so we can learn to be better gamers and better Battletech players. We're not here to put anybody down. We're just trying to help people learn from their mistakes. So any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and or contact us in Discord. If you have footage you want to send us, by all means, send it to us in Discord. You can reach out to us. My name is Jesty in any of the Discords. You can message me there, or find the link in the description below, or leave a comment. I'd like to thank the MRC, Pirate, of course, and all the players that took part in this tournament, and Vapor for running it. Any shout outs there, Pirate?
Thanks again, Vapor, for putting this together. Again, thanks, players, for letting us record. Thanks, Warning and Carbon, of course, for starting the MRC, and Desert for joining the command. And look forward to seeing some more players join in.
All right, that's it for us. See you guys next week. Have a good one.